to the Netherkast. I am Cyborg, and I am joined, as always, by Razor and Shad, and we are Templess once again. So, yeah, episode 105. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the show, as always. And if you are new to our channel, check us out on the Discord. It's in the description. And we're going to cover some news. Not a whole lot to discuss this time, just because we didn't get another character reveal. I mean, we kind of did, but I mean, it's a character we already know is going to be in the game, and I guess we can start off with that, and that is the Johnny Cage picture that we got from Ed Boon, teasing Johnny Cage in the game.
Yeah, it's just a shot of, like, his hand giving the finger, but you can see enough of his body to tell it's Johnny.
You can feel the enthusiasm in our voices. But I mean, for real, after seeing, what, a blurry render shot of him showing up in a background, if there's anyone that's got any doubt that Johnny Cage is in the game, is playable, and is not afraid to die, he's in the game.
Yes.
Yeah. Prepare yourself.
Yeah, he's definitely he's definitely in the game, no doubt about it. And I think I have a theory as Zatanna barks away. She's at the door. She's literally just barking at the door.
For the newcomers, Zatanna is his dog.
Yes, not actual Zatanna. But as funny as that would be. But anyways, no, I have a theory on that picture of Johnny. Is if you look at it under, like, I lit it up basically, so it's a little easier to see. People have already mentioned that it has like a shatter effect to it, so clearly I was thinking this before anybody had mentioned that, but it's obvious that it has like a shatter effect to it, so I'm thinking this is like a photograph, which means, and if you look at like the background, it almost looks like a bar or a restaurant. Like there's a table in the background with glasses on it and stuff. You can hardly make that out. So with Johnny flipping off the camera, he could be taking a selfie or something of his family. I'm expecting this to be a shattered picture frame, maybe of like a inclusion of a story trailer or a trailer of the Cage family that has story elements to it, like some story cutscenes like spliced in or what. But I'm thinking this is going to be a part of a trailer that we're going to get very soon. With that in mind, I don't think it's like an intro. I don't think it's a fatality or a win pose or anything like that. To me, this makes me think of a story, little snippet from story. What are you guys thinking?
I mean, that would imply that they're like next week's cast will reveal more than just a character, and I'm not prepared to believe that at all.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not thinking it's necessarily going to be a part of the next combat cast. This could be. As Down4 pointed out, it was like February 27th that we got the story trailer for Mortal Kombat X, so it wouldn't be unreasonable that we'd get a story trailer sometime between now and the end of next week. So, yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking, is that this is from that, and maybe the shattered picture frame has to do with like Chronica, like the timeline aspect and the merging of it and the battling of old characters versus new characters. Maybe it's just a shatter effect, like things are broken. I don't know. That's just my theory on this, of why the shattered effect on the picture and why this looks like somebody's like snapshot of them inside of a restaurant.
I don't know. I feel like the first trailer from the event,
right?
The one that has like Liu Kang, Young Liu in it all over the place, that has so many like clips from story in it that I feel like we might not get another story trailer. That might have actually been it.
Maybe. It feels a little bit too enthusiastic to expect even more after like 5 minutes between Shinnok and Raiden and Chronica. And the tweet is very Cage-centric, down to the, well, misquoted quote from the movie. Where do you get these guys? Or who hired this guy? Or, I don't know. If he's even trying to quote the movie.
So what do you think it would be then? What do you think that like screenshot would be from?
I feel like...
I don't think you're wrong about it like being...
Because that's usually what it is when the screen... Like, that cracked screen effect is usually something they do in, like, win poses.
Maybe he actually, once again, like, takes a selfie of himself and throws it at the screen or something.
Do you think he, like, flips it off and then gives it, like, a nut punch, like a nut tap, but the screen instead? I mean, I could see that as just... I don't know, that background to me looks like a restaurant or a bar. But I mean, it could be either. I could see it part of a win pose or anything like that. Last time we got a screen cap from Ed Boon, it was that lizard thing that was part of Baraka's intro. So it's not unreasonable, but I don't know. If I had to put my money on anything, it would be some sort of story trailer. And if they did a Cage family trailer, let's say they do that, or not necessarily Cage family, because I mean, I guess that would just be Cassie and Johnny at this point, because we've already gotten Sonya revealed enough. Or unless it's like Street Fighter, or not Street Fighter, Street Fighter, oh my god, Special Forces.
Wait, God, no.
That'd be, no, that'd be awful. But,
Please, God, no!
Unless it's like Special Forces centric and you throw in Jackie and Jax in there as well, all for like but I mean, the reason why I would say it'd be like a trailer like that is they did that for Injustice 2, where they had the villains trailer and the Here Comes the Girls trailer, and in those trailers they spliced in some story mode, little brief, like 2-second snippets of story mode cutscene footage just for the effect of the trailer. So something like that. I don't know. That's just where I'm thinking. I would not be surprised to get one of those trailers dropped in the next week or two, just because we got to get something sometime, and there's still so many characters left to reveal, and they said they're going to be revealed in different ways in different places. It just makes sense to me that it would be relating to some sort of trailer outside of a Combat Cast reveal.
There's a recent announcement that for anyone in the Chicago area, they'd be appearing at a little convention with some MK11. It wouldn't be unreasonable to expect something to be revealed there, I don't think.
Where's that at?
Some convention in Chicago. Like
you're
this upcoming weekend.
No, that's March 22nd.
It's March? Well, bollocks.
Yeah,
Ugh.
There was some confusion. People thought it was this Friday because people were posting it in the Discord.
I didn't see the date.
Yeah, like I said, some people.
Well, I kind of hope they're not planning to drag out the character reveals up till the end of March. Eesh.
They did tease like a character reveal at that place, so I don't know. I'm sure we're still not going to know. We're not going to have them all revealed by that time, apparently. So.
Well, we're probably not, but by the same token, we're probably also going to have a complete trophy list by that point in time.
Yes.
So, who knows what we'll know by then.
Yeah, but it's not really surprising to see Johnny make the roster, and a lot of people are happy that he's on, and I think this is as good of a confirmation as any at this point, beyond what we already knew with the background picture and him being in the background of a stage. So this is just more on that. That's pretty much confirmation.
If you're gonna give one character out of that entire family of the trailer to get people hyped up for the game, it's gonna be Johnny Cage.
Right. Agreed.
I was actually kind of surprised that like Jay didn't trend on Twitter like Cabal did.
Yeah.
Or did she? I missed it. Did Johnny Cage not trend? He could.
Yeah, possibly. But beyond that, we didn't really get much else. We got a mobile stream, so nothing really to talk about there.
Well, I mean, I do want to say that there's a lot of vitriol and venom being thrown their way because how dare they have a mobile trailer? Nobody cares about that. And I saw some of the figures, and compared to the usual, like, 27,000 people tuning in, it was like, what, 9,000? They know to expect.
I heard it was 45 and 5. Which is
probably like
a much bigger gap.
Yeesh, that would be painful. But they would have to know to expect that kind of thing.
Yeah, they would know.
So, just you've had a week. You've known that there was a trailer coming for mobile stuff, and a Combat Cast coming for mobile stuff, and people were hoping there was going to be some sort of reveal. And Tyler told us about an hour before it happened that there was going to be no new character today. I don't think it's really fair to shit on them for wanting to show off their product. Remember that we as people who play the main core game, we're not cell phone gamers. We're not their target audience. But there are plenty of people out there who do. Apparently the first MKX mobile game got something like 10 million downloads, you know? So, I mean, people out there are enjoying it.
I think...
Just not us. It's just not for us.
The Mortal Kombat mobile game was like the first of many in a genre. Like... There was eventually an Injustice one, and an MKX one, and WWE Immortals, and even like...
There's like a Batman Arkham one.
Yeah, there was a Batman one. Wait, did the Batman one have the same fighting engine?
I'm pretty sure it did.
Okay, because I know there's like... It's not an NRS one, but there is a Power Rangers game that uses basically that engine. So it kind of became a whole genre. So clearly people enjoy the mobile fighting game.
I mean, those are definitely popular, no doubt about it. And I have no problem with them wanting to show off their... I mean, it's... If we were on their side, if we were part of NRS, if we were part of WB or whatever, if we saw things from their perspective, if we're on their side of the fence, they know that this isn't what their core audience is wanting to see. They know exactly what's going on, but at the same time, they still gotta promote that stuff. It's not like it's still something they put time and energy, effort, and all of that into, that they want to get out there to the masses. Now, I would counter that with, does it really need to be on a combat cast? Probably not, because all the people in the chat were crapping on it. The views just weren't there as they usually were. I feel like they could have put out a 5 to 10 minute trailer to just sum up everything and just put that out there, and you're going to still have IGN, GameSpot, all of them cover the mobile game and everything revealed. The combat cast was not the best way to do that, in my opinion.
Well, what did we get?
At least make it a segment in the combat cast rather than giving it a whole episode to itself, because it's not that people are mad to see mobile, it's mad they have to wait another week to see more of the new stuff.
Sure. And that's go ahead.
There's also kind of an argument, though, that I see touted around every now and then, that why are they even wasting time with this? All the resources that they put into advertising and shilling their mobile product could be used instead to, work on the game. And it just doesn't work like that. There's a whole team that's specifically dedicated to this stuff, who might not have the programming or artistic experience to work with the other art and development teams that are on the main game.
Right.
These people were hired to do mobile stuff, and you can't just take a whole basement, as it is apparently a basement full of people working on a mobile game, God, and throw them to the wolves along with the rest of the developers. You can't.
No, yeah, I don't think that's reasonable either. I think there's a happy medium.
Corporations section off the money. So money that goes to advertising the mobile game is in a box, and you can't dip your hand in that box and take from it and give it to, making a jade skin for the main game. You know, that's not how the money works.
This is this is something that they can use to get money, which it does because it's very popular and people buy into that type of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with the mobile game as it is in its own little thing. And yes, you can call BS on the free-to-play aspects and how much, you have to spend on mobile games or free-to-play games. You don't have to, I guess, but they encourage you to, basically. But that's a whole separate argument. But in terms of them having a mobile game, we shouldn't expect them not to want to promote that. I guess my only point was, I feel like a trailer would have generated more hype for those type of people. If you're a mobile player and you're not part of the hardcore Mortal Kombat audience, but you're more into the I love the Mortal Kombat mobile game type of audience, you're just in that casual audience where you're more of a mobile player than you are of a console player. If you're that type of person, what are you more likely to do? Spend 30 minutes to watch a combat cast breakdown where they, take forever to go over all these little details? Or are you more apt to go and watch a 5-minute trailer where they detail all of this with footage and everything to go along with it as it's breaking down with a voiceover over it?
I mean, the answer seems self-evident, but I was checking in the official Discord while this was going on, and you had some people there excitedly going back and forth over the details, like, oh, diamond this, and this will be available through that. And so some people, they were really digging it. And it wasn't it wasn't even a full-length combat cast. This thing was 20 minutes. This was a courtesy to the people who are really out there for mobile, who are into that kind of thing, and I'd like to think that actually probably did make a few people out there very happy.
I think there are some real advantages to a mobile game they're not capitalizing on them all, but they could expand their audience if they wanted to. The Power Rangers mobile game has 80 characters, so if they really wanted to, the MK mobile game could be the fucking Armageddon roster.
Right. And I think we'll probably get there at some point. Maybe not. We're probably not going to dive down to the D and F tier type of popularity characters, but I mean, I think it's completely. That's
the only way I'm ever going to get official meat artwork.
I'm just
So
saying,
let me dream.
I'm just
why
saying,
not? You have this. It's so easy to make a character for a mobile game compared to like a big game. That's why, you know, we're limited to these like 25 to 30 character rosters. They just don't have the time and the resources to make more than that. And when you make more than that, you start worrying about balance. But a mobile game character is a lower res model, and it only has like 4 moves, period. Like, it's not even normals and specials. It's just 4 moves, period.
right.
And if they really,
So
really
why
wanted
not
to,
just go crazy and literally fucking make guys who you're never gonna make anyway for the main games, like fucking Dairu? Why not?
I would not mind if they were crazy enough to give me like a full Jarek conquest mode in mobile, so I could read about his wacky adventures killing random pedestrians and NPCs he comes across.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of characters like Reiko, Kai, so on and so forth down the line, and ultimately with them changing it from Mortal Kombat X to Mortal Kombat Mobile. This is clearly a platform that they are continually looking to build upon rather than create an all-new app and restart their subscriber base. They have a plan to just keep building upon what they've already built on for years. So I think that ultimately is the goal, is to keep diving deeper and deeper in that well. I'm just saying the Dairus, the mocap, so on, and like when you're getting to that very bottom, scraping at the bottom, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I still don't think it's likely, because look at how long it's taken them to put out specific characters.
That's what I'm saying about them not capitalizing. Like, the guys who make the Power Rangers game, they made the movie version of a putty playable. Like, they don't give a shit. They're just all in, and they're constantly making new characters. And, you know, that's the appeal. That's the selling point of the game, is literally, there are 25 years of characters, and we have fucking everybody. And we're not stopping.
I just don't think they're, at this point in time,
well, I
don't think they're going all in on the mobile
losing
game.
Them sales. I think it would expand the audience if you went, okay, everybody who's ever existed, we're gonna make them.
I agree with you from a marketing standpoint. At the very least, it makes a lot of sense beyond them just getting money for people that want to collect all these different characters. It's also a way to introduce these characters again to a wider audience that play the mobile game maybe more than they do the console game, and they can say, hey, I do recognize Reiko now. I recognize whatever the hell, Havoc, more, because maybe they didn't play those games and they're newer fans or they're younger fans or whatever the case. They can redesign those characters. Hell, you can do a Dairu and try and redesign him in a more interesting fashion in the mobile game, and then maybe build up hype for an actual console appearance. So I totally see where you're coming from. It's just a matter of, clearly they're not all in on the mobile game. It's like a side thing to them where they have a smaller team dedicated to continuing on the mobile game. But I mean, it's already been how many years since they've had that mobile game out? 4 years for the Mortal Kombat one, and they don't have, I mean, I wonder, the ones that develop for the Mortal Kombat one are probably the same ones that develop for the Injustice one, so they're probably sharing.
Because the MK mobile game, they make a whole new character out of, like, a variation. So, like, there are 5 Johnny Cages when that could have been 5 different guys, and that's how they spend their resources instead of making everybody.
True.
And look at all that wonderful artwork that comes out of the mobile game. You've got
there's a lot of good art in there. There's like,
if you really wanted
there's these really cool versions of Dramon's mask where he's got like these ghostly horns growing out of it as it advances in power.
So yeah, it's not like it's a total waste of time. There's some really cool stuff coming out of there, and I'm not going to say no to more MK content, regardless of whether or not I think the character should be relegated there or not. That does bring up the problem of people going, "Oh God, my character's in mobile. That means he's never showing up again." But you know, everyone's in mobile. It doesn't have to mean anything.
Everyone thinks everything means something, whether the DLC are not going to be playable ever again, or the blah, blah, blah.
It's the same attitude as when we got Vita-exclusive MK9 skins, where people went, well, they made it, so why didn't they put it in the main game? But It's a little different in that we knew they had those assets for the main game and down-res them for Vita, whereas when you make something for mobile, you start with the mobile version.
3 assets in the Vita confused me because that was kind of a license to print themselves a little bit of money, and they just
Yeah, right? Like, everybody would have bought a pack of the UMK3 Ninja outfits.
Yeah.
And, like, we have seen proof that Scarlet's alt and Kenshi's alt were originally designed for the console version. But when you make, like... So there's a part of me that looks at the fact that Goro has, like, a classic skin in mobile... and is like, I wish that were in the main game. Why didn't you just do it? And then the more logical part of me goes, well, they probably didn't make that for, you know, they don't have the 1080p version of that skin. It doesn't exist. They made it for the mobile.
Yeah, it's not something with like 50,000 pixels. It's something that's probably way, way less. So it's a lot easier to go downscale than it is to upscale. So
yeah.
I could see that being the reason, or maybe they just like exclusives on the mobile, so that way you're more apt to want to get the mobile to try these things. Like, I still would love Day of the Dead Katana, but I'm never going to get that outside of the mobile, I'm sure.
The exclusives would be even cooler if there were a lot of them, you know? Like, if that was the thing. Mobile has all the characters that they just can't make for a console game. Then suddenly, like, half the base is going to be like, all right, I'll play this mobile game. It's the only way I'm ever going to get Serena. Let's do that.
We'll get there. I'm sure if they keep going with this for years to come, and this is just an ongoing, never gonna try and redo, like, try and start from scratch. They're just going to keep building upon what they already have, which I think is what they're going to do. I mean, they clearly are doing that, but I think we're going to get there because, I mean, even before MK11, we started to get, what, Khan, Goro, we got Jade in there at some point, so...
Did Shang Tsung ever launch? Because I remember they said they were doing Shang.
I'm not sure, but...
I'll go check the warehouse. Give me a sec.
They are adding, slowly but surely, they are adding more characters that do not always show up in the console release, so it would not surprise me to see more and more of that roster fleshed out over time. And
I hope so.
It's better than nothing.
Like, honestly, phone technology isn't growing that much in terms of what you can do with your games at this point. So to just stick with the platform and just keep adding characters for as long as you possibly can seems like the best way to sell at this point, rather than to make a third Mortal Kombat mobile game. Which I think, you know, they obviously realize, which is why they changed MKX to MK Mobile instead of making an MK11 one.
Right. And they want to keep their subscriber base, all that, so not have to start from scratch, which is obviously a much harder thing to do. Damashi says in the chat, but why do Dagon and Dairu when we can have Scorpion Classic and Human Scorpion and Tournament Scorpion and Skullface Scorpion and Dark... See, and he keeps on going with more and more versions of Scorpion. See, that's the thing that's exactly what they're doing, is because from their perspective, who's going to get people to... Like, how are you going to get people to spend more money on this free-to-play game than to offer one of the most popular, if not the most popular character in several different versions, rather than a very, you know, least likely or least popular character, even one version. So I get where they're coming from, but from what we were saying, the ideal part is you introduce them in the mobile with a redesign, and potentially that sparks more interest for the actual console game. So
I mean, you would think, but instead of making Li Mei, they made a Jade wearing Li Mei's clothes in green, so...
To capitalize on popularity, yes, absolutely.
There is no Shang Tsung mobile yet.
Okay.
Give time.
They announced that like a year and a half ago.
I'm not seeing any evidence online for it.
That's unfortunate.
Well, that's some mobile discussion for you, and
you know what? We got like a good half an hour out of that. Let's be proud.
Yeah.
And let's be happy for the fans who, it should be said, NRS are continuing to go out of their way to make happy. Mobile's giving them all wickets, and
yeah. I mean,
can't crap on that.
No. I mean, it's the mobile game. Like I said, we can have our own feelings. We can, as much as we want to see the Mortal Kombat 11 console game take the limelight all the time and get all the attention. Them taking one combat cast, a 30-minute, 20-minute show, and dedicating it to mobile isn't going to hurt anything in the long run. As much as we are starved for more content because we're loving what we're seeing, or we want more characters, as we've discussed, at the end of the day, it's not like we're going to be looking back to that one mobile cast and be like, that ruined everything for me, that ruined the hype for me, that did this, it's not going to matter in the long run. So for them, I'm sure it's still worth it. So that is what it is. So another topic to discuss. I don't really have a whole lot to say on this. What were you going to say?
I did just find a phone case online that's a custom creation. It's Shang Tsung eating a green pizza, and it says, Soul Flavor, Shang Tsung's Pizza. And I'm going to give them my credit card information now.
All right.
You want to read that on the screen for us?
Yeah,
don't forget the 3 numbers on the back.
Yeah.
Hey kids, Sonic says. All right. So what's next on the menu?
So I wanted to briefly mention this because I did have thoughts on this. I don't know if you guys followed this at all, but the Tweety situation with the whole FGC going crazy and shitting on itself, and
yeah, I don't care about Z-list video game esports celebrities. I'm gonna pass. Thank you.
Yeah, and I know Razor doesn't have anything to say either, so I'm just gonna give my opinions and then we can move on. So my thoughts on this, because I did follow this situation, and I'm loosely aware of who Tweety is just from some of the tournaments I've tuned in for. But from my understanding, at least this is what he said after the fact. So he made a comment of basically a slight towards Chef. I'm just going to call him Chef. I'm not going to remember the rest of his name. But he made a slight towards Chef, which included him essentially taking care of his father who had a stroke. But in his comment, he claims to not have been aware that this was going on. So it was just a bit of ignorance, and it's just another one of these, somebody says something really stupid and careless and hurtful and just digs themselves into a hole, and now he's paying for it type of situation. I mean, we've seen this with actual celebrities like Roseanne Barr, etc., and then they're always try and pass it off. At least Tweety is, I will give him credit. He's at least taking ownership of what he said, even though he is throwing in the excuse saying that he wasn't aware of the family situation, he wasn't aware of what happened to his dad. So, but he did say after the fact that he felt bad about it, he regretted saying it. I guess he lost his sponsor after the fact because of his actions and just acting like a nuisance. But my only real thoughts on this are, everyone says something stupid sometimes and lets their emotions get the best of them. So I don't think it's something that should be held against him forever, but he's going to have to eat shit for a while, and deservedly so. You go and say something stupid, you put your foot in your mouth to that extreme and shit on somebody, whether you knowingly knew the whole situation or not. At that point, even as Tweety said, it's checkmate. There's nothing you can say after that. Once that it goes down that road, there's nothing you can do about it, and he knows that there's nothing he can say to undo that. He just got himself into a shitty situation, which is completely on him. And I don't care if Chef started it first. You fucked up by saying something that clearly is not going to look good on you, when you should have just, all of this is just stupid bullshit to begin with. I mean, this just so childish. All of this is just so meaningless and childish. Like, holy shit, you're playing video games to make money. Good for you. Keep making money, doing something that you're good at, but holy shit, leave the drama out of all this. I don't understand why. Like, shit talking for fun is fine. We've all shit talked. We've all breaking each other's balls, or when you're playing competitively, you sit there and shit on each other, but at the end of the day, you shake hands and it was all just for fun. But that's not what's going on here. When it gets personal, it's like,
yeah, there's no shaking hands over Twitter. You're just being a dick.
Like, why do you think I don't care about this scene? It's so full of people who run their fucking mouths. And I don't care if you're a competitive player. I don't care if you're washing dishes. I don't care if you're making copies at Kinko's. I don't care if you're the president of the United States. Here's a life lesson: don't run your fucking mouth. Okay?
Yeah, there's 2 fucking levels to this. The first is that if you have a fucking paying job and you want to keep it, don't even be on Twitter. All right? That's not just even having a Twitter and talking to other people. Even if you don't say anything mean, it's still vaguely unprofessional. Just don't fucking bother.
I mean,
The second thing is, like, every person in the FGC or esports or whatever you want to call it whose name I know, the only reason I know their name is because they fucking talk some shit and everyone hates them for it. They need to shut their fucking mouths. You know,
Why would
Perfect
you-
Legend talked his way into a 13-0 loss. Fucking Sonic Fox won't shut up about his race and gender and all that shit. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Fucking Tom Brady won't shut up about Sub-Zero's moveset like he's any good at him anyway. Nobody cares. I don't want to know who these people are. They should just stop talking and get good at video games and just do that. Don't use their mouths, use their fingers to press the buttons.
And then Razor got 15 invites to a fight.
you know, Araman mentions in the chat, I thought the subject was going to be about the summit shit. Well, I mean, this is all wrapped into one. Yes, okay, Tweety is no longer going to be a part of Summit, because that's what all this started on to begin with, was, I guess Chef was trying to not... you can correct me if I'm wrong. I've only, like I said, briefly covered all of this shit in my mind and kept up with it, but from my understanding, Chef was trying to prevent Tweety from being able to go to Summit from the popularity vote that's going on right now to determine who gets the Summit spots. So if that's the case, then whatever. But I mean, that all takes a back seat when you, in my opinion, when you put your foot in your mouth that hard and everything that's happened afterwards, the Summit tournament doesn't matter anymore. It's just a guy being an asshole and for it, and it's just stupid. It's just stupid drama over nonsense. Like, holy shit.
Look, I have a phrase, I have a saying, and I've been saying it ever since me and an old buddy who since turned bad and I don't really talk to anymore had our fight nights with MVC2 and Capcom vs. SNK2 way back on the Dreamcast. We used to play all night. And it was this. Why be a Balrog when you can be a Dudley? That's all I gotta say. Don't be gutter trash. Fight like gentlemen.
I like that.
Let's move on.
At the end of the day, yeah, my final comments on this are Tweety, he lost his sponsor. He seems to still have his head up and realizes that he's going to have to eat shit. So it's like I said, he's not crying and being a baby and acting like he did nothing wrong. He clearly knows he fucked up, whether it was intentional or not. And he knows he's going to have to rebuild from here and just try and climb himself out of the hole, which I think is the right attitude to take. If he just gave up and then did the pity party and said, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore, I don't want to play anymore, if I'm not going to get sponsored or this and that, he's taking the right attitude. So hopefully he gets his shit straight and learns a lesson here that just sometimes just don't, you just shut the hell up and just play the damn game. Speak with your actions, not with your fucking words. But anyways, moving on. I'm sure you'll get a lot more of that covered on the Warrior Shrine, more in depth.
So yeah, Todd McFarlane apparently does have the license to create MK toys.
That he does, and
there was like a proof of concept with a Scorpion figure.
Yeah, he had teased that like a month ago, and then Ed Boon.
And then none of us believed him because it was Todd McFarlane.
I believed him.
Whose specialty is running his mouth.
What does that mean for the other toy license, the one with all the rad MK2 figures?
I don't know, but considering that they still have plans to do Johnny Cage in the future, and that they have Melina and Kitana, all of them planned out, you know, legal's a tricky thing. I feel like if they were going to shit-can that line, we'd know. Maybe McFarlane only has rights to make toys based off of the new game. If it speaks legalese, give me your thoughts. Love to hear them.
I hope that's the case. I just feel like if you already have a license with a manufacturer who's making some really good toys, why don't you just stick with them so that all the toys that ever come out of your characters are the same size and the same posability and can fight each other?
Which are selling very, very well, it should be said. If you want Scorpion or Sub-Zero from Storm Collectibles, you're going on eBay and you're paying $300. That's how bad it is right now. Also, they have the Darkstalkers license now, so I'm going to go cry in a corner and start harvesting organs to sell.
Well, hey, at least that means something with a Darkstalkers brand on it will come out someday.
Right? Right? And no, Armand, I'm not kidding. I've seen Scorpion Sub-Zero go for $300 online. So if there's a character that like you're hoping to get your hands on, do it now. If you're a Smoke fan, you can find dudes on eBay who are selling them right now at market price. Order from Big Bad Toy Store if you have to, and deal with like the slight bit of a markup. But yeah, these things.
Is this the Cyber Smoke, or is there a human model I haven't seen?
There's a human model that's out right now.
Okay, see, I'm waiting for the purple robot.
Purple robot's coming soon.
Yeah, I want to get.
I know
Cyrex.
I've seen him.
But I do want to say I believe the Tom or the fucking McFarlane stuff, but you know.
I didn't.
See, here's the thing that made me believe it.
I'm supposed to him saying, "Oh, this is a lock. I'm gonna like, get
no doubt.
as a guest
The
character."
guy clearly,
yeah,
he cries wolf a lot.
Every fucking day with this Scott McFarlane motherfucker.
Oh, he cries wolf a lot. But the thing that made me believe it was when Ed actually said, "Wait, what?" Like, to me, why even draw attention to it if he wasn't purposely trying to?
Maybe he legitimately did not know.
No,
it's possible. It's possible.
It doesn't matter. We have confirmation. We don't need to rely on Ed's dumb tweets when we have real facts.
Some sort of deal between WB and McFarlane Toys where it's like, hey, will you create things that will advertise our product and make money off of it? Yes, we will. Hey, Ed, we're going to do this thing with your property. Huh? What? Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Do I get money? Yes. Win-win. And you know what? For those of you who really want Spawn as a guest character up in this motherfucker, well, we now know that WB and McFarlane are in bed together to some extent. So, take that and run with it.
Please don't run with it. I don't want to hear this shit anymore.
You're going to. You're going to until it happens.
I know.
This might be the game.
Fucking escape from the Spawn fans.
All 10 of them. Bye, kid.
At this point, you know what? I'm gonna have to support. Put Spawn in MK11 just so people will stop asking for Spawn. Just get it the fuck over with.
My only hope is that we don't get any more than 4 guests total. And that's if there's 12 DLC.
Maybe we'll get 3 decent ones in Spawn.
I want to believe that one of those rumor strings that said that there would be absolutely no guest characters in this
that was
game.
Never
that's not fucking it. They've already confirmed there will be
just misinformation and people getting the wrong interpretation of things that they were told.
Also, I maintain, like, people think I'm joking when I say it, but my votes are actually for RoboCop and Terminator. Like, if we have to have somebody...
You just want to knock him into the hell stage so he can give you a thumbs up as he sinks into the lava.
I mean, that would be pretty sick if they did that.
Okay, not lying. I would not mind a RoboCop super where, like, he just, I don't know, summoned the fucking gigantic EV-209 or whatever the hell that thing was called, and it just opens fire on the guy and then falls down a flight of stairs.
Alien versus Predator is 50% of a meme, and the other 50% is RoboCop and Terminator. They need to finish the meme.
At this point, I guess I'd honestly take Hellraiser, but I would like... The only one I actually want is Doom Guy. And that would make a lot of sense to me.
I mean, it would be nice if we got some people from video games, but I'm expecting movie characters again.
I don't want any of it, but I have heard the rumors of who's
we don't have a choice. That's the problem. This is the plan B, whereas plan A, no guest characters, has already been shelved.
Duke Nukem. I wish.
Duke
God,
Nukem.
could you imagine fucking Duke Nukem and Johnny Cage dialogue? I'd replay that match for 5 hours.
He needs to go to the 90s and die.
I'm here to confess and chew bubblegum. And I'm all
so that just makes me want Roddy Piper from They Live. Like, I'd rather have that than Duke Nukem.
Well, unfortunately, Roddy is dead, so we can't get him to voice act himself.
Yeah, unfortunately. So. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Not even really worth discussing more guest stuff. We're going to get what we get. Like I said, I just hope it's not more than 4 out of a potential 12 DLC characters.
It better be just 4.
This is where we're at now.
If it's 50% of the DLC.
Just
this
4.
is where we it used
Just
to be
4.
none, and then it used to be okay, maybe 1, then it's like okay, no more than 2, and now that we've been accustomed to at least 4, now it's like
Well,
just
it's because
no more
the
than
amount
that,
of
please.
DLC total keeps expanding.
Fucking flash forward to 2049, and we're all sitting here still doing this podcast in our goddamn old folks' home. Gee, I sure hope they don't include the whole 3rd season of Family Matters again. Really do without Urkelbot.
But no, seriously, no more than 4. That leaves us 8 characters potentially of DLC that are Mortal Kombat characters, and I think do wonders for this roster, which is already okay. It's not a bad roster.
It's pretty meh.
It's at least better than X. I mean,
it has Jade so far, and
Okay,
we're
look.
hoping for Rain and Noob. That's something.
Just say it like a mantra.
Look, I know you're excited for Frost, but I'm waiting till I see the design before I have
I'm
an
the same
opinion
way,
about
man.
that.
Don't sit there and paint me like I'm already in love with her. I've been saying on the Discord, I just want to see Frost's design and her gameplay, because if it sucks, then I'm still without a main. So I've got more writing on this than most.
Just say it like a mantra. Say all the rumors are true. Noob, Frost, Jade, Scarlet, Cabal.
And Shao Kahn.
That's a
And
fucking
Baraka.
and Shao Kahn. And Baraka. Well, I don't know, but like that's a fistful of fan favorites there. You almost had it. You almost had it.
I don't know about Baraka.
I'm like, look.
I would trade away Scarlet for a ham sandwich, okay? That's not really on my list.
Shred, I'm not holding back on
Look,
Frost.
okay,
I
I
just,
know-
if Frost is
I
in
know
the game,
you're not a
she
fan.
needs to be good. Don't give me a Frost that's completely redesigned and have it be bad. Otherwise, I'm not going to be just happy because of her inclusion. I want it to be... I want her to look cool and to play well. I don't want her to be a pile of shit.
I'm sure you're at least going to get a retro option and a redesign. You're going to get a little bit of what you love.
I hope so, but you're right, though. I mean, like I said, I'm not hating on the roster because to me, it's still, like, it's okay with a potential to be truly great once DLC is done. But I don't want to wait for the wave 2 of DLC. We'll know the first wave of DLC likely before the game's even released, which is fine. That's a good thing. That way we at least, if you're a fan of like a Fujin or whatever, if he doesn't make the initial roster, then hopefully he's in the first wave of DLC and it can be like, oh yeah, okay. Then you'll get him in a month.
Hey.
So
Question. You think they listen to our show and they know who our mains are and then they said, fuck these guys in particular? Serena? Nope, none of that. No Cyrax, no Smoke. Nope. Fuck the Nethercast.
It sort of felt like when Injustice 2 was coming out, they were deliberately giving us characters we like. And then I don't even play Atrocitus. I just like the Red Lantern Corps. And then they probably went, all right, well, fuck those guys.
well,
No
I mean,
more for them.
let's be fair.
Problem.
Frost was on my number 1 on my wish list, so I did get that potentially, and it's just a matter
Jade
of if
and
she's
Noob are
good or not.
You are the
Jesus
nice
Christ.
one.
Yeah, they still want to
You're
please
the one-
me.
You're the one who says positive things about the company, so they'll give you your
Yes.
character.
I'm neutral, but I mean, I've got Jade, I've probably got Noob, and I've got Scarlet, who I'm really, really goddamn happy with. I made a Twitter post about this, but I still can't believe that this character has embarked on that journey. From a rumor dating back to what, MK2 to an MK9 DLC to a main face roster in 11 with a total bitchin' redesign? I'm
Of
in
all
love.
of us,
I mean, it is the
I don't have
same path that
waifus,
happened
but-
for
Chad out of all of us has the most on his top 10 wish list. You have 6 out of your 10 so far. So that ain't bad.
You give me Smoke, and within a year, I'm probably living under a bridge because I can't stop playing this game and I've lost my job.
But it does need to be said. Like, you're right, though, in that they have given us a lot to love. There's still, like, a couple characters away from me saying that it's great. Like, let's say Rain makes it. Fujin. I mean, this could all be, like I said, Wave 1 of DLC could completely make this go from me from, like, a C+ to a B+ or A- and just so easily by adding, like, 3 or 4 characters that weren't in X that people are still clamoring for. A Rain, a Fujin, a Cyrax, a Smoke, or a Reiko, Ashra, Serena, whatever. Like, I mean, there's Nightwolf. There's still certain characters that I think could really spice up this roster and make it really, really interesting. But it's not bad. I mean, like I said, just by default, I think it's better than X because of the characters that you mentioned. Your Baraka, Scarlet, Cabal, Jade, potentially Frost, Jackie, of course.
I don't know. I feel like the parts of X that made its roster bad are the same ones coming back.
A lot of people who don't like Ferritor might disagree with you.
Yeah, Ferritor was at least creative, though.
I liked her. I like them. Her, he, they. I like they. And, you know, out of all of them, I wanted them to come back the most. Jackie's the argument here. People liked Cassie.
It's not just Jackie in a vacuum. It's... The argument that keeps coming up is having the kids and their parents in the same game.
There is that. I feel like we have one Cage/Blade
too many, and it's not...
I was expecting, like,
I mean, we still don't have confirmation, but people are suspecting Jax. And again, I'm a Jax fan. I would be happy to have Jax if he plays right. But a lot of people don't want more Special Forces characters.
That's it. You know, I like Jax, but I feel like he's ready for a break. So is the entire Special Forces concept.
Here's my argument.
We've already got a bunch of them.
My argument is I wish certain characters were held off from the initial roster, and then they could have been the ones that were DLC, like Wave 2. Because why can't... If your character wasn't an X, like a Smoke or a Cyrax, or if it was just a character we haven't seen in forever, like a Serena or a Fujin... Why couldn't those characters be the ones to take up the initial roster? And I know the answer is story, so I already know my answer. It's a rhetorical question. It's just frustrating because, once again, it's like the same type of characters that are making the initial roster, whereas the people that are still waiting for their favorites to return, that have been waiting forever, they're going to have to play the DLC waiting game once again. Luckily, Wave 1 DLC we'll know before the game, but... A potential pack 2? I mean, that's like a year out. Like, if your favorite, like Cyrax or a Smoke or whatever, doesn't make DLC Wave 1, I would give up all hope at that point because it doesn't matter anymore. Like,
on this question, who do you think would actually make more money? Say, Kung Jin or Serena?
Kung Jin?
What do you think?
Well, Serena has tit. So I'm gonna go with that one.
I mean, I know that like Razor will throw the money.
Yeah, I mean, from a general audience,
I'm thinking like for casuals, a woman in general will absolutely any female character, even Kira, will sell better than Kung Jin. I guarantee it.
Maybe. It's hard to say.
Kung Jin had a pretty strong online presence.
It's hard to say because we don't really know how those characters would be redesigned. If they bring back a Kira, for example. They're going to change her up more than they're going to change Kung Jin, in my opinion. So it's like an X factor. They could make her really interesting. But there definitely is... Serena has a cooler design than Kung Jin. As many fans as Kung Jin might have or not have, Serena, by proxy, has that cool-looking, badass type of character, like the ninjas, that she's going to have that advantage. It's kind of like that discussion we had before that was misplaced on the misused term flair, when what I was really meaning to say is characters that just look visually interesting. And Jax has that to a degree, and I think Jax would sell well as DLC. I think Melina would sell well as DLC. Johnny Cage would sell really well as DLC. And this is my point, ultimately, is what I was trying to get at was there's no reason, other than a story perspective, why those characters can't sit out, be the DLC, and then let like a Rain or a Fujin make the damn initial roster for once. So that's where I'm frustrated, is because if you, let's say you're a big Johnny Cage fan or you're a big Melina fan, you've been playing your favorite for the last 8 years straight. You can wait for second wave DLC. Somebody that did not get their character in X, or potentially didn't get them in X or 9, or even MK versus DC for that matter, they shouldn't have to keep waiting so long after the game to see if they even get the character that they want, because chances are they probably won't get the character that they want. Like, as a Cyrax fan, if he's not initial roster, I don't think he's making it in the game, just because I have a fear that they're going to treat Triborg as giving us those characters as DLC last time, when obviously that's not how I feel. So, but from their perspective, they
Well,
might see it as, oh, they
the
gave
only
us
point that
Smoke
I'm
and
making-
Cyrax last time.
Well, now here's the thing though. Triborg, we're protected from Triborg by Ed's "I won't make you pay for the same thing twice" rule.
Right, no, I'm not saying we'll get Triborg. I'm saying that he might look at it as, oh, DLC last time, Triborg was essentially Cyrax, Sector, and Smoke. So if none of those individual characters make the base roster, maybe he sees it as, we won't sell you Cyrax as DLC because we technically sold you Cyrax last time.
That's not really...
How would they think of it, though?
How do I want to put... Okay, what I want to say is that you can't get away with not having a Cyber Ninja by saying we had Cyber Ninjas in the last game. That just does not fly. Cyber Ninjas are one of the pillars of the MK franchise, and the fact that they keep leaving them out of main rosters, and did what they did with Triborg, it's... Eventually people are gonna get upset.
But do you think from their perspective, how they see it, does it concern you at all that, say, none of the cyborgs make the base roster, that they would exclude them as DLC, they would basically not give them a chance as DLC because they don't want to go back on the idea of selling a DLC character twice in a row, I guess, even though that's not technically what we got. We got Triborg. But from their perspective, they might see it as, oh, they gave us Cyrax and Sector and Cyber Smoke last time, so therefore we can't offer them again this time.
But to counter that is that
if
none of us believe for a second that Triborg was Smoke, Cyrax, or Sector.
Well, it's more than just that. Now,
they know the demand is still there for them, and the point that I'm making is they've already gone on record as saying that, like, fan demand is influenced who they're going to pick as DLC. So I wouldn't write any robots off just yet. Well, for the main roster, maybe. DLC, I think we're going to get some.
What I think it is that if they chose to see Triborg as having already sold us Sector, Cyrax, and Smoke as DLC, then the only thing they can do, once they've made that decision, is release a game that has no cybers, period. And that's just not going to fly with a lot of fans. The cybers are too important to the MK franchise.
No, I agree with you.
They can't make a game with not one cyber.
I agree with you, and that's how I feel, but I'm afraid that they aren't going to feel that way. I'm afraid, and maybe this is just me feeling like Cyrax is once again going to miss that bus, in that if he doesn't make it base roster, he's pretty much screwed. I hope that is not the case, because I'm 100% with you in the sense that they are a pillar, at least getting one of them on the roster, whether it be Cyrax, Sector, or Cyber Smoke. I do think at least one of them should be in the game and be a cyborg, just from having that visual in the game and that archetype represented. But I'm just afraid that that's how they're going to, in their minds, if they didn't put him on a base roster, they're going to feel that way. That's my, as a fan of Cyrax, I feel like if he doesn't make it base roster, it's unlikely that he makes it as DLC, which sucks. And I sure as hell am not going to wait. If he's not on Wave 1 DLC, I am not going to hold out hope for Wave 2. I think that's just... That after what we lived through with MKX's Combat Pack 2, I think anybody that holds out hope for their character making Combat Pack 2 is just... They're playing a game that they already know they've lost hard last time, so it'd be bad to play it again, in my opinion, but I don't know. I'd like to see the sales numbers on Combat Pack 2. I bet they don't feel about it the way we feel about it. Like that it was bad? And by we, I mean you, because I liked Combat Pack 2. I'm sure from their perspective it sold well, because guest characters, but I'm just saying people's favorites, like a Fujin fan, was riding hard for Combat Pack 2 to get their favorite because they thought for sure, they're going to listen to us, or they're really, why wouldn't they put this fan favorite in there? And they got burned. I think it would just be silly to go into a second Combat Pack in this game and have those same sort of feelings. I mean, they have to pick somebody. They have to fill 6 slots. Take 2 for guest characters, let's say. So they got to fit 4 characters in Combat Pack 1 and 4 characters in Combat Pack 2. Yeah. And they're not going to look at the 3D era first. They're going to look at who's left from Trilogy. Maybe.
I think so. Here's my thing. I think they'll say, okay, well, Triborg isn't really Cyrax because that was just one variation, and if we make Cyrax for this game, it's a completely different character. He's got all these variation gear moves we can make for him. It's... And by the way, I don't want you to get too, like... I don't want you to be super bummed out if we get Sector instead of Cyrax. I don't know how to comfort you in that scenario. I feel like every time you talk about the Cybers, you don't say the Cybers, you say Cyrax.
Well, I've said Cyrax, Sector, Smoke
Let the man
multiple
go.
times. No, I said Cyrax,
We
Sector,
can get
Smoke
Sector.
multiple times, and also I even said at least one of them should make the game. So clearly I haven't just said Cyrax. Now, if you want my honest feeling, MKX was Sector's game. If Sector is included in MK11 and he's the only Cyber represented, I think that is a horrible decision, only because MKX should have been Sector's game. Triborg should have just been Sector. They screwed Sector.
Well, I've said before, in my mind, Triborg is Sector, and if Sector comes back, the story explanation for it can be as simple as Sector's personality overtook the rest of Triborg, and just Triborg became Sector. That's all you need, because he already acts exactly like Sector, and in his ending, he forms the Tekunin, which is Sector's clan.
And the logical conclusion for any character who's primarily based off
Sector
artificial
in my mind.
he
Now,
should be.
is to have them become some sort of AI. So that's basically it. He has a ticket to come back. And
yeah, that's
Cyrax,
my thinking, is like, if Sector is in this one, it's a matter of continuing a story.
Maybe.
And
I do want to say real quick, Jonas said Sector is the most popular cyborg anyway. I don't know where the hell you're getting that information, but every poll I've ever seen has Cyrax and Smoke above Sector. And that's not me hating on Sector.
I would agree that Cyrax is more popular, but I think Cyrax kind of dominated the 3D era games, so it's Sector's turn in my head.
He was only in
Cyrax
one.
kind of dominated the 3D games, and he also kind of dominated the online presence in
How did
9.
he dominate the...
He was a very, very frequently played character, and I don't think Sector got that much love.
Hold on.
People loved his bomb.
How was he How did he dominate? He was only in Deadly Alliance.
I'm talking about 9.
No, I'm saying the 3D era
He was
games.
in Deadly Alliance and Armageddon, whereas Sector was only in Armageddon.
And Smoke was in
2 out of 3.
Deception and Armageddon, so, I mean, they're equal in that regard. Sector is the...
Sector
No, I'm
wasn't-
saying, you're right, in that Sector is the only one that hasn't had a solo appearance. I'm just saying if your thing is that Cyrax dominated, Cyrax and Smoke equally had the same representation in the 3D era.
That's not really Smoke, man. That's
Come on.
Noob Saibot's partner.
No lies are detected here.
That's a Shadow clone wearing a robot costume.
And Garbage Man pants. Don't forget the Garbage Man pants.
Either way, I'm not even like... First of all, I should state, Sector is not a character I dislike. He's still in my top 20 favorite characters of this franchise. I liked Sector before I liked Cyrax. I just ended up liking Cyrax more. So it's not like I hate Sector by any means. Just because I champion Cyrax is not necessarily like hating on Sector.
I didn't want to start a big debate about which cyborg is better. I just wanted to know that you're not gonna like...
I'm not even saying that Cyrax is the better cyborg. I don't even necessarily feel that way. I prefer Cyrax, but it's not, to me, like, there's no factual, this is the better cyborg. I think that's up to personal preference.
Alright.
Can we agree on
I'm
this?
just saying there's a possibility that if we get a cyborg, we'll only get one of them. And
Look,
it could be Sector or it could be Cyrax. And
I think Human Smoke...
Is your roster gonna drop from a B to a B minus if it's Sector?
No, not at all. Not at all. And you can...
Even if Smoke shows up absolutely nowhere in this game, I've said it before, I'm still really, really happy with what it looks like we're getting so far.
Yeah, no, I am too. I am too.
Just think about this. Think about this. Has there not been at least 1 or 2 characters out of all the combat packs for MK9, well, for MKX and the DLC characters for MK9 that haven't really blown our shit away? We weren't expecting Scarlet, we got her. We weren't expecting Rain, but it was nice to see him, and he felt like the odd man out, so it was rewarding when we got him. And we were already looking at, like, what? They were saying 6 characters in a DLC pack? Assuming there were a couple of DLC packs, I see very little to no reason why not everyone couldn't be happy.
I'm already happy.
I think the chances of actually getting... I mean, when I say that, I mean getting the character that they really, really love and are hoping for and rooting for. I mean, maybe Cyrax and Sector and Smoke, assuming you're automatically counting Smoke as a Cyber Ninja, which
I'm not either.
Is a lot to hope for, but I feel like the odds of all three of them popping up, maybe not as far-fetched as we might think, assuming they have some crazy, batshit insane DLC
If Smoke
plans.
comes back, he should not be a Cyber Ninja. That should be Gear. I think Triborg was going to be the last chance for a cyberized
as long as it's Gear.
No, I think Gear makes sense
in some form.
Yeah, no, I think Gear.
I'd honestly be a little bit disappointed if he didn't have some form of.
No. I think Smoke.
I love Smoke or Smoke, no matter what his appearance.
When I think having a cyborg represented, me, it's Cyrax and Sector, because those are the two true. Like, they're always going to be cyborgs in my mind. I'm not a big fan of returning them into human. I like it as a gear piece to call back to Deadly Alliance for Cyrax, but to me, those are the cyborgs. For Smoke, it's not like I don't like Cyber Smoke at all. I love that storyline, but I think he's moved beyond that. He's in Enra now, so I mean, it's whatever.
Look, yeah. The character is never the same thing twice. Very seldom, I'd say.
Well, let me just say this. I expect Sector or Cyrax as DLC way before I expect Smoke.
Oh, man.
You're a cruel, cruel man. I don't like
Look,
now.
I want Smoke more. I'm a Smoke fan, you know that. I'm just saying, Ed don't give a shit about Smoke people.
It's weird, you know?
How and why, though?
Like,
what do you...
Going back, no, he has a point. Going back to...
actively resist. Smoke is the trilogy Fujin.
Kind of.
You're going to have to explain this, because from my perspective, yes, he set out a lot of games, but he was in...
Yeah, way too many games. So many games it doesn't make sense how many he set out. They are actively resistant to the character of Smoke.
What is this based off of other than that?
And in the games he's in, they won't move his story forward. He spent 2 as a shadow clone dressed as a robot.
But he was in 2, he was in 3, he was in UMK3, he was in Shaolin Monks, he's in Deception.
He cameoed in Shaolin Monks. You didn't even get to fight him. He gave you puzzles.
I don't know.
And in Deception, he was a mindless accessory. And
in Armageddon, he has his Deception story again.
I don't honestly think that Smoke got his due properly from Trilogy up to 9.
Mortal Kombat 3 is literally the only game that Smoke has a story in.
Yeah. And, like, if you go back and, like, you look at the Smoke combat card, you watch Ed speaking, it looks like he's struggling to remember who the fuck the character is. Smoke.
He's like, smoke? No, I don't smoke.
A character that we put in to continue the reptile tradition, or something like that.
Yeah, and like, he's got this weird stilted, like he's trying to remember who Smoke is.
Yeah, like, I feel like Smoke was primarily a big Tobias creation, and Ed's never been a huge fan of it. And I'm trying to say this impartially, but also, you know, being a huge fan of the character.
But you don't think Mortal Kombat 9 changed any of that? I know he wasn't in X.
No, I absolutely did. I just... No, Razor says no, I say yes.
He has to be in 9, because they can't leave him out. He's not like Rain, where he...
I'm just saying his design and gameplay in 9, you don't think that won him over at all to... Because, I mean, he was in X's story.
I know it won him
it won him over to a lot of players. And he don't give a shit.
he got a lot of fans. Absolutely, he got a lot of fans. And he got a lot of people shipping him with, like, every character in the book, and Jade and Sub-Zero. Don't get me started. Smoke is my favorite part of MK9. And he's primarily the reason that I played that game so much, because here was a character who actually looked, played, and felt the way I always wanted him to and imagined him to, going back to, like, fucking 1995. So I'm not saying that NetherRealm doesn't like the character. I'm just saying I don't think Ed's that big on him. I just think there are characters that Ed likes more and that he finds more interesting.
And Ed absolutely plays favorites with the roster.
He does. And Smoke is
confirmation on that since Brian Chard left the company.
And Smoke is a B-list character, an accessory to the ninja that Ed prefers least out of the 2 main faces. So I consider us very lucky when he does show up. And hopefully he'll get some story fleshing out. But Razor does have a point that we could expect Cyrex or Sector before we do get the guy. With all the love in the world.
I don't think they cover the same ground, though. Just from the fact that if we do get Smoke, it's highly unlikely that he's going to be a cyborg version.
I'm not saying that they do. I'm just saying, like, playing odds, because you were talking about Smoke being more likely than Sector or Cyrax, and I think it's the exact opposite.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess I see it slightly differently. I mean, I'm coming off of a game where Cyrax was literally MIA, and the most he got was being a oil sign, and he was one of the ones that lived from 9. And I know I've complained about that before, but it's like he was one of the survivors from 9, and he was completely not mentioned at all in X. At least Smoke was there. At least he played a part there and had a speaking line, so at least he didn't just completely fall off the face of the earth. Even when he was dead, he still played a role. So, I don't know.
He cameoed. He makes a lot of cameos. He's a cameo guy.
Well, we knew going into X that guys who died in 9 were actually the most likely to come back because they teased that the story, like the very last scene in 9 is Quan Chi and Shinnok going, ha ha ha, now we're gonna use all our zombies to attack Raiden.
I know, that's where I'm coming from.
Dying in 9 actually gave you a better chance of being an X.
It's weird, I mean, you have a point, I'm just saying, like, this is where I'm coming from as a Cyrax fan, is like, when the last game showed up, that's literally all we got. Was that there was nothing for Cyrax. There was at least something there for Sector. There was something there for Smoke. Cyrax was completely MIA, and then you have the comics, which I don't even want to delve into that stuff. So, I mean, the fact that if they put Cyrax's name on the list of characters to do whatever the fuck they want, to me that speaks even more volume of why Cyrax maybe has fallen out of favor with those that make the decisions.
You know, I have to believe that they gave them instructions to flesh out. Well, that they gave Kittleson instructions to flesh out and play with who he really wanted to play with. And so that means that they gave him a lot of leeway to write Cyrax.
I think they gave, because the Lin Kuei arc at the very end of the comic is kind of a tacked on thing that wasn't part of his original like pitch for the book. Like, the book was always planned to be the Reiko Accord stuff. And then they had a couple issues left over at the end, and then they went, well, let's do Sub-Zero. Because he had not had a lot of focus in the comic, and because there was, you know, the backstory of how he took back the Lin Kuei had not been gone into in the game. And I don't think Cyrax's name was on, like, a list to kill off. I think Kittleson just went, well, Cyrax isn't in X, so I can kill him off.
If he even really killed him off.
Because we knew for a fact what happened to Sector, because his head's in the game. But we didn't know what happened to Cyrax, so Kittleson had the freedom to do whatever he wanted there. And he chose to blow him up.
But then even that he didn't commit to, because he made the little winky face, you don't see a body.
Kittleson is wishy-washy on Twitter in a way that he's not in his writing, alright? That doesn't necessarily connect.
I don't know. It is what it is, but to wrap around full circle where we came from to this conversation, it's not like it's Cyrax or bust for this roster, and my only hesitance with Sector over Cyrax is purely from a MKX was Sector's chance to star alone, and then they chose to do the route that they took, and since they took that route, now it's like, here we are on the next game, and it's like, now if you do Sector by himself, to me it's like, why didn't you just go full bore with it when you half-assed it, you dipped your toes in it, you teased it, and now you're going to do that and leave Cyrax out for a second game in a row? To me, that I don't. That's where it's just like, why? But I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. Either way, we're all in agreement that one cyborg, no matter who it is better than no cyborgs. So hopefully at least one of them shows up.
And we know we're going to get someone. And again,
I don't know shit.
They've told us, they've told us that big fan favorites are largely influential in who comes back for DLC. And we're already looking at a game that has Jade and probably Noob and probably Shang and Scarlet on a main roster. I think odds are very good.
I will be genuinely surprised at every name in the DLC that's from X or the 3D era. I think the DLC is going to finish the trilogy comebacks as much as it can. There might be one 3D or MKX guy in every pack, just because they like to do that thing where they're like, okay, here's a returning character, and here's a new character. Yeah, they're going to mix it up a little bit, at least. This.
I don't think it's just going to be purely all trilogy characters from start to finish.
Oh, no, I'd say odds are pretty good at getting at least one more 3D era character in there. Probably.
But yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, if I've painted myself as if I'm not happy with the roster, that's not at all true. We have got a lot to like, as you mentioned, and you rattled off like 8 names that weren't an X that are fan favorites. So it's not like they're not there. I guess my main frustration is there's certain inclusions on the roster where I'm like, why couldn't these have just waited for DLC so we could have gotten at least a couple more? But like I said, we already know the answer, and it's story mode, so it is what it is.
Well, it's not just story, it's the fact that Ed values the Special Forces guy a lot more than the Special Forces guys a lot more than we, the fan base, do. Like,
no one came here to see G.I. Joe.
To him, Johnny and Sonya are kind of the main characters, and they have been since, like...
Well, it's not even that. Like, let's take Melina, for example. So she's rumored to be in the game, base roster. To me...
Yeah, I don't believe that rumor.
I hope it's not true, but let's just use...
I believe Melina's in way more than I believe her being DLC, because I have seen the Melina fan base, and it scares me. I believe if Melina is held back for DLC, you will get angry people of all genders and types in Melina outfits swarming Chicago.
Melina's fan base is exactly why I believe they would release her Wave 1 DLC, because that's a lot of money to be made.
It is.
It tends to be like a Wave 1 DLC. Have her come out 2 months after the game, because people are going to be hyped for that.
But look, I feel like if Melina is base roster, I absolutely don't see her in the 25. She's a hidden character.
Well, yeah. But she's got the popularity to warrant being a hidden character for some strange reason. Man. I feel like there's a level of popularity that comes with being a classic character where 1 is a good choice, like Smoker Cyrex. 2 is an okay one. Your Johnnies, your Jaxes, people you would expect to show up and, would make a fair bit of scratch. But people would be going, well, why wasn't this on a main roster? He's such a recognizable face. And then you've got, like, the people like Melina who have such a frightening devoted fan base that as much as you might get money for it, you might get a lot of really angry, entitled people on Twitter going, how dare they make me spend money for my favorite character?
That's bullshit.
Nobody cares if you whine on Twitter, though.
I just don't like catering to terrorism. That's what that is. Let's just be as toxic as we can on Twitter so that our character is always base roster. What kind of shit is that? Okay, so Cyrax fans or Smoke fans or whoever the fuck, you can throw out several characters there. Nightwolf fans, whatever. They mind their business, and they're not completely like giant, like toxic assholes and obnoxious. So therefore, they can be the ones to wait till Pack 2 because they're civil. Let's get the one on the base roster of the people that are gonna flip their balls off. Like, to me, that's
probably not the only form of reasoning for her being on the main roster. She could very well be involved in story mode.
You're making the assumption that Ed reads his responses.
He reads some of them, not a lot of them.
It doesn't matter how toxic you are on Twitter. The developers don't actually read that stuff.
I don't know. He's replied to some of them. He's replied to some of them
did, and some of them did.
Once in a while when he feels like cracking a joke, he does, but he doesn't actually care about toxic Melina fans because those are strangers. Their opinions don't matter.
It's still a shitstorm that they'd be wise enough to
any response to any of his tweets. That's a choice.
Let's go with the reasoning that, yes, she plays a role in story, but are they against doing NPC characters that eventually come out as DLC? I mean, we can't... So every character that shows up in story has to be base roster? I don't subscribe to that either.
No, not at all. Not everyone. I'm expecting some DLC characters to very well be popping up in story. This is all just shitstorm. This is all just
I know. We're just speculating, but it is what it is. Like I said, I'm very happy. I think the roster, like I said, is okay, and I think it has a potential to be fantastic, potentially one of the best rosters we've ever gotten when DLC is said and done, as long as the DLC delivers on both packs potentially. But yeah, so I mean, no complaints there. It's just, it's frustrating. Like I said, it's just, I don't know. I just don't want to play the waiting game again. That's like,
all. The guys who are gonna complain, how dare they make me pay for Melina, will be complaining as they put down the $5 for Melina.
Jonas brings up a good point in the chat. People seem to be forgetting about Reptile and Ermac, and that's true. There's not been a lot of talk about them.
Yeah, that's because they're probably not in the game.
Or they would be DLC characters.
And again, they are very good choices for DLC.
I could easily see
people
Reptile
with very, very strong player bases who have a lot of fans who aren't crazy, and I think we'll probably get one of them, at least one of the two of them.
I wouldn't be surprised if each pack has one of them. I honestly would not.
Speaking as someone who is a huge fan of Ermac in Deception, fuck that guy. Let him sit out.
I am kind of tired of telepaths. I would not mind if both Ermac and Kenshi sat this game out, only because we've had so much of it recently.
Kenshi's pretty much...
It's no different than the way I feel about Jax or Sonya.
Kenshi's pretty much gone, no matter what. Like, I don't think... If he doesn't make base roster...
I'm cool with Reptile. I'm cool with Reptile as DLC. I don't want to see that fucking mummy. Not right now. Not this year.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't matter.
But you take him if he had his Deception outfit back, though.
Yeah, if he wasn't a mummy anymore, I'd give him a shot.
That's when you deal with timelines. You could get old Ermac back, but yeah.
Yeah, but he'll have a mummy costume, and then I'll have to look at a mummy.
Well, if they were to redesign his Deception costume a little bit, I think I'd be more okay with it. But I'd still rather he took a break. The more the time goes by, the more a lot of those 3D rosters kind of look
like a trench coat guy or like the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz with a hood on. I don't want that shit anymore. I just want Deception.
I don't disagree. I do think he's looked iffy the past couple of games, but the more I look back at that Deception main render, the more it just looks like it's really hot and uncomfortable and sweaty in that thing for how bulky it looked. Specifically, you know? It's not all renders I have a problem with. I know that they had that kind of bulky, muscly look to them, but something about Ermac just looked like he was just wearing winter clothes or something.
It's because it had like a texture. It looked like, I don't know, heavy wool or burlap or something.
Yeah, that's it. Heavy wool. I streamline that a little bit and make it look a little bit more appealing.
They can make the material... Look, everything looks like plastic in this game anyway. You don't have to worry about that.
All right. One of the last things I want to get to here is updating on the fantasy draft, because we haven't done that the past couple episodes. We had a couple characters added, I believe. We have Devora and Jade.
Q&As?
Jade accounted for.
You want to do some Q&A?
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. Let me get through this. So updating this, we have Temp is still in first with 41 points. The Jade points that he got further cemented his place in first. So he's got a nice little lead there at 41 points. And then second place, we have Brusque, who has 34 points. Razor is in third, 29 points. Down.
Did I go up?
Yep, you went up. You had a J, or who did you have on? Oh, you had Devora on your list, so...
I did have Devora, that's right.
You had Devora, let's see. The two people that had Devora and Jade were, let's see, I have them all marked off. So the ones that had Jade were Temp and Down 4, and then the ones that had Devora were Razor and Sai. So, yeah, those were the ones that went up a little bit in points since we last updated. So we have Brusque in second with 34 points, Razor in third with 29 points, Down 4, close to Razor. In fourth place with 27 points, and then we have Shad in fifth place with 19 points, Sai in sixth place with 15 points, Django in seventh place with 13 points, and then myself in last, eighth place with 9 points.
Your time is coming. Your time is coming.
I'm sitting there. If I can somehow pull this out, it'd be a miracle, because Temp has
How many are you getting for Frost?
32 points ahead of me, so it would take a miracle at this point. But yeah, I'm far back there. But yeah, I mean, if Frost makes it, I have a couple characters on my list, so it's not impossible. But yeah, it's going to be a climb to make it back.
I think I'm eating shit for this. I've had my time. I'm on the way down.
Maybe. But anyways, so that's the update there. So I am pretty far in the last, and then we have relatively close for like the first 4 people. You guys are within still striking distance, especially Brusque. It's really close to Temp. So yeah, so update on that. Now, as far as Q&A, let's see, what questions did we have? Did we have any questions waiting for us? I don't even remember. I know we answered.
I'm sure there have been a couple since last time.
There's been.
I mean, there's a lot of conversation. In the
Gotta
Netherkast.
prune that the way we do in the Lost channel.
Yeah, it's not really
I mean, it's
a Q&A board so much as just a
it hasn't
board.
even been used for Q&A in so long that it's more of a conversation board at this point.
Damashi wants to know, what about the Kami Dogu? Listen, man, you're bad.
Seek help.
We saw what you did last time with
Yeah.
those things. It was not good. I don't even think you are who you say you are, Damashi. I think
I
you're a
think he
liar.
grinds those things up and snorts them. That's just my theory. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, we already answered a question earlier about the Tweety situation. I know, let's see, who
Yeah, there's
left,
that.
Sassolino was the one that asked us about that, so...
Thanks, Sassolino.
As far as any other questions, yeah, we addressed the Johnny Cage stuff. So, I mean, we kind of already hit the ones that were at least there as of earlier today. Anything else has been lost in the ether. But, yeah, on that note, I mean, I think that wraps it up. Hopefully next week we'll have more stuff to really discuss. We made the best out of what we had to discuss since last week, so...
Well, hang on. Maxi did give us one. I'd like to get to that. Seeing that Liu Kang throws a fire skull in the trailer, everyone assumed that it might be related to Shang. What if it's related to Quan Chi? Because the skull is apparently chewing, but he doesn't remember Shang's skulls doing that. Although Quan's did when they flew forward. So
It just
that's
depends
Max's question,
if
basically.
they have gum.
I wouldn't necessarily describe that animation as chewing so much as like
Shattering?
which is, I think his skulls did do that in the Armageddon opening.
Yeah.
Shang's.
They kind of like nod a little
Quan
bit.
Chi's skulls don't chew in the reboot games, so it's irrelevant.
And Quan's shit is typically green, and he shouldn't be shape-shifting.
Yeah,
He really shouldn't be.
Well, what he's asking is, he thinks, what if Liu Kang learned to throw skulls from Quan Chi, and that's the explanation. And I don't think the way the camera angle is staged
clearly
in that
Shang.
shot, it does not make sense
Yeah.
for that to actually be Liu Kang.
I said when we first
Like,
even...
his body is being hidden by the skull specifically so that when the skull is gone, they can reveal that it wasn't Liu after all, it was somebody else.
Yeah,
It's a what the fuck,
when we
oh
were
shit.
sitting there at the event,
and like I
that's my
said-
initial thought was, and we've all been pretty much on the same wavelength, that it's Shang. Like,
We all had that thought. Why is Liu throwing a flaming skull? Oh, no, it's actually Shang. He does that because he turns into people.
it's
What's
a
for
good
dinner?
tease that some would get
Yeah,
and
that's
some wouldn't.
the point, is to tease. That's the reason that shot is in the trailer, is to tease, because there are other shots of Zombie Liu in that trailer already. The only thing it's teasing is, why is he throwing a skull? It's making you think, and when you think about flaming skulls, you think about Shang Tsung.
Yeah,
That's the
it's-
purpose of the shot and of putting it in the
so
trailer.
when you find out that he's actually in the game and they have the big reveal in story, then you can look back at the trailer and be like, oh, it was there all along. It was right there underneath our nose. Like, that's... And it's good. It's a good tease. I'm not, like, knocking it as if it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
No, it's a great tease. But, yeah, that's what that is, in my opinion. Hey, Temp, what's going on?
Besides, like, weeks and
Holy
weeks
shit.
ago, weeks and weeks ago, we had that shot from a computer screen. It was obviously Kerry Tagawa's face.
Possibly. Judge,
Stega asks
somebody
us
had
to
look
said
like Harry
they
Tagawa.
thought it was Shinnok's face, not... But we'll see.
That's not Shinnok.
No,
That guy
it was a
looks
second
Asian,
one.
and
It was a
Shinnok's
second
face
one.
has these very distinctive, like, lines under his eyes down his chin. He's got, it's like
I'll
the
give you
reverse of
something
Quan
down your
Chi's
chin,
face
buddy.
stripe.
There were two very specific screen render shots that were shown in. One was a side profile with what really looked like had Karaoke Tagawa's nose, and one was like the kind of puffed up old man Shinnok face that we have now. So it was two different renders, two different things being worked on.
Sure.
And I'm going to politely draw attention back to the fact that you said that you'd leave something running down Razor's face.
What? So Stiga asks in the chat.
He likes to mumble while I'm talking.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Stiga asks in the chat, do you guys have an opinion about Pennywise as a guest character? And then asks, do you think he could nail a clown, cosmic horror character type, a la Devora, hitting a bug character type, or is he too far-fetched and doesn't belong? We've talked about this in the past. I think I'm the only one that was on board for the Pennywise inclusion. Like I said, I don't really care who the guest characters are, but I do like Pennywise. I like the new It movie. I like the old It movie. And just the concept in general could be fun of him turning into random creatures and horror characters that we're familiar with. I think that could be a fun concept, but I think people are a little bit horror charactered out, so ultimately
I'm too much of a stickler about plot for these kind of things. I can understand beating the shit out of a guy holding a machete and wearing a hockey mask because, you know, Jason goes down because of brute force. And I can understand the same for Leatherface because they're both ultimately humans or slightly supernatural beings, which MK has a fair share of, running around wielding bladed weapons. Pennywise is not a clown. Pennywise is an incomprehensible form of energy which lives in another dimension, which feeds on the fear of the innocent. That is not his form. This is a meat puppet. It does not make any sense. He feeds on fear. He can't be killed by adults. Adults shouldn't even be able to see him. You are just being influenced by what is the latest hot thing at the movies. There are so many better characters to choose from if you have to choose a guest character. So many video games, so many franchises. We don't need a killer clown because that kind of thing does not automatically fit into MK because it kills people. You're killing me here. You're killing me in my soul.
Yeah, like
God no.
Jason,
please no Pennywise.
Jason like throws punches and stuff. Pennywise never actually like physically does anything that you could call an attack in the It movies.
I don't know about that. I mean, he
Don't me.
I just did.
Round one.
Like, I just did, though.
Well, you're wrong.
No, I mean, I'm not wrong.
Round
you said,
one.
hold on. You said that he's never done anything that's sort of an attack in the movies, but that's dead wrong because...
Yeah, he hasn't.
So then when he turns into, like, the thing that's, like, praying mantis claws and starts clawing towards one of the kids, like, literally going at him to attack him...
That's an animality, man. They're not gonna make that.
Or
in a
when he
video
grabs
game.
one of the kids... So when he grabs one of the
They can't
kids
make
by
Motaro. You think they're gonna make him transform into a praying mantis?
He can do whatever, not fully, but he can grow the arms out. Or when he grabs the kid with the mummy wraps and then brings him towards him as he's chomping away like a zombie. I just think you're wrong.
What would he do for his normal?
Turn into shit.
That's not how they work. That's not how they make characters.
I mean,
if
we can see Jason jumping around and leaping off trees,
I think you think they're old Capcom, that they're going to make him play like a Darkstalkers character. That's not how they design characters. They're too fucking lazy for all the things you're describing.
My God, with your laziness bullshit.
He turns into the things that you're afraid of, and I'm sorry, he's not a physical character. And I'm not okay with this.
Look, if they put Pennywise in the game, he would be throwing punches and kicks. That's the problem.
No, it's really not.
It's
100% a problem.
You're okay with
and it's not appropriate for the character. So you're okay
with Jason leaping off trees and jumping around, and Leatherface jumping around and leaping off trees.
I can see them doing that.
I mean, they did that. They already did that. You don't have to see him doing that. They've done that.
Yeah, and it didn't look that weird, because Jason literally physically fights people.
It's a video game.
Like, he's really slow and lumbering, and they captured that somewhat, and then for some things they didn't, like the tree-swinging animation, because it's a universal.
Do you out there who are asking for this, can I ask you, is this a character that you're actually passionate about? Is this something that you want to see? Or is it the flavor of the month that you're mildly interested in? Is this something that you're going to come back to months, years after you've spent like $10 on it and gone, man, this is cool. I'm glad they picked one of my favorite characters of all time in. Or do you just want it because you saw it at the movies that one time? That's my question to you. That's my question.
I think that's a little condescending, but sure.
It deserves to be condescended to.
I'm not trying to be.
You may not be trying to be, but that was. You're undermining why
I'm trying to be.
People's intentions.
I'll be condescending for you, Shad.
Go Razor. I'm sorry if I've offended anyone out there, but I just want people to think about what they're asking for. Because I feel like a lot of the things that people ask for are just kind of...
You have to realize that like 80% of...
Based on current hot trends.
80% of the people that...
People are driven by memes and fads.
You're missing the point. 80% of people that play these games just play it to have fun. They don't think about this shit the way you guys think about it. They just want to have fun with their buds.
That's a very fair argument.
They can have fun with any character that gets released. It doesn't have to be fucking
But there's
Pennywise.
a reason why guest characters sell as well as they do.
If they just play it to have fun, there's no reason to fulfill their request.
These are people getting together with like
anyway.
frat mates and then cracking open some beers and then playing Predator and all this other weird shit that you can't do in any other game in this setting. Like there's a reason why people ask for these characters, be it Michael Myers, Pennywise, Jason, whatever. Like, I'm over it, but that doesn't mean the general audience, the casual fans, they love this shit. There's a reason why people want Spawn, and it's not because they think Spawn is this wonderful aesthetic and story fit for Mortal Kombat. It's because they like Spawn and they just want to rip people's heads off.
I don't actually think people who want Spawn do like Spawn. I think they're just following a meme. I think it's Shaggy but more serious. I haven't met someone in 20 years who actually read a Spawn comic book. Like, Spawn doesn't actually have fans anymore. It's a dead property.
BC, you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right that, people do buy these things, just take them home, and maybe they spend a couple of extra money, and they rip people's heads off. They don't care who they do it with. They don't care like me and Razor care, which is far too much for far too many years now. You have a perfectly valid point, and I do tend to forget that. I just wish that people's demands for a character would kind of come from what they want to see and not what I feel is sometimes being advertised to them. And I think that's what bothers me about Freddy or Jason
it's
like the flavor of the month.
People see like 50 people asking for something on Twitter and they become number 51 because they want to belong to a movement.
That's not necessarily the case for everything. There is that, yes. You're not wrong that there are some bandwagon-y things that people just want to... The Shaggy thing is chief among them. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Look, when I said Spawn was serious Shaggy, I wasn't joking.
You can't lump like Freddy Krueger into that. He wasn't a bandwagon thing.
Well, no, Freddy is a different thing. Freddy is an actual like pop culture character who people still give a shit about.
Okay, but Pennywise is a modern version of that. Pennywise is not a...
Yeah, but
not a meme.
Freddy Krueger actually has, like, he swings his arms and cuts people. Pennywise does not throw punches.
Okay, but once again, you're overthinking this. You're trying to apply logic to a situation where it doesn't belong. People just want to have fun playing the characters that they think are cool.
Well, at the end of the day, a fighting game still has to have people who fight.
High temp, lol.
That's not overthinking it. They just have to be characters who fight.
An alien
can fight. A predator can fight. Pennywise does not punch or kick. The end.
As someone who doesn't want any guest characters, and I don't want anyone, the only guest character I want is Raziel or Mike Boone. Those are the only two I'll accept at this point. But did Freddy Krueger throwing punches make him a good guest character? No. I don't think the fact that he was able to swing an arm or throw a glove or throw two gloves made him interesting. I think ultimately it's a rule that can be broken at any time without any actual consequence. If you throw Pennywise in the game and he does something that's not punches or kicks, or let's say he does do punches or kicks, I don't feel like we violated any real rule. Not when that applies. But that said, I don't want any guest characters.
And that's not what this argument's about. None of us want guest characters if we can help it. It's not...
We were just asked about... We're doing the Q&A, and it was specifically about Pennywise.
Spawn's a different... People want a long red cape. That's what's going on with Spawn.
Yeah, Spawn has, like, a cool look. That's the thing with him.
They want to wrap people in chains with a cool mask on at the same time. That's really... That never went away. Spawn comics died.
Okay, but
the idea of Spawn being ethereal, sort of like...
Continue...
I guess almost.
No, I'm just saying,
yeah,
continuing
it's
on this punches and kicks theme, is Freddy known to just do a bunch of punches and kicks outside of when...
Have you seen Freddy vs. Jason, the
yeah,
movie?
I was
Like,
literally
the
about to
entire
say that,
last
but you
half an
interrupted me.
hour-
But yes, other than that one brief instance of him brawling, which was made to be a cage fight, in his actual movies, though, is he a character that you associate with punching and kicking people? No.
It only has to happen once to count, man.
And then, okay, so then why won't you...
And Freddy vs. Jason was the last time Freddy was culturally
Okay, but
relevant.
how about-
So, like, when people think of either Freddy or Jason, they think of that movie, like the casuals, they think of that movie more than they think of an actual Nightmare or
Okay, so
Friday.
how about Alien? Is Alien a punch and kicker?
I mean, Alien's fighting style was more...
You know what?
you do see in the movie.
I've seen all the Alien movies. God help my soul. And some of the ones that matter, all the ones that don't. And yeah, you know what? Alien stabs you with a tail, and Alien flails around and scratches at you.
Yeah,
So,
like the way
I don't mind Alien or
in
Predator.
MKX
You know?
fits Alien.
I just think we are splitting hairs to an extreme here. On a thing that doesn't even matter. It's not like... This is not how a casual thinks. They don't think, oh, that's odd that Pennywise doesn't throw punches. Why is he in this game? No one thinks like that.
Okay, what if they put Clifford the Big Red Dog in DLC?
So we're just going extremes
Like,
to
that's
prove our
your
point.
argument.
We're going extreme, so it's black and white. We can't just say shades of gray.
No, like I understand where you're coming
So Pennywise, let's throw Barney in.
from. And you're not wrong to say this is not how casuals think, but by the same token, God help me for saying it, but isn't that being a little condescending to casuals?
The
Maybe
people...
we should think about this stuff a little bit.
The people who would celebrate having Pennywise in the game, these people you're talking about who only play for fun and drink beers with their friends on the weekend get together, they will play the game no matter who the guest character is.
No.
If you don't have to fulfill those people's requests, you already have their
That's
money.
not necessarily true. Because if you have...
It is 100%
Okay, so
true.
if you have a big...
Pennywise will not sell any copies of the game any more or less than Doom Guy or RoboCop would.
But he'd sell more than Clifford, though. So I don't think that's entirely.
and
analogous.
also-
I was searching for something that cannot throw a punch or kick.
But Pennywise would sell a lot, though. Pennywise would put a lot of money in the WB.
It's about-
bank.
It was no more or less money than any other guest
It's
character.
about... Oh my
You've all got to understand that Clifford would be insanely OP and would like reduce Motaro, Kintaro, and Goro to tears.
If he was up to scale, I'd want Clifford.
That's sub-boss material right there. That shit could take Shao Kahn out on a good day.
It's all about, we're trying to pick rules of what makes a good guest character, right? Throwing punches and kicks, I just don't think that's a good rule. I don't think that is what they're using
the
internally.
most important rule.
It's not...
Internally, it's not. I don't
that
think there's developers using that as a measure.
When you break that rule, you get Yoda in Soul Calibur.
But Yoda sold a fuck ton, though. And he was
Did
broke. Yeah, Soul Calibur 4 is one of the best-selling Soul Caliburs, I think. At least to my
That can't be true. That sounds ridiculous.
Why?
Let's
Based
find
on
out.
what?
I don't think any Soul Calibur has sold well since 2. Like, maybe, I mean, they've made a profit, but...
And you think that has to deal with Yoda not throwing punches and kicks? That's why he didn't sell well,
No,
or
I
that's
think
what's leading to a good
I think
sales?
it's a combination of factors. I think dumb DLC has definitely hurt Soul Calibur's image as a brand. But I think it was mostly because, honestly, every Soul Calibur kind of plays the same, and 2 was the last time it was publicly cool.
And dumb is decided
play
by
Soul Calibur.
whether they punch and kick or not.
Well, it sold about 2.3 million copies, so I would call that
yeah.
a success. And it's also one of the really early adopters of DLC characters. That's actually one of the earliest instances we had that.
And
So I don't
many
know how much
across
Yoda
consoles copies did 2 sell, and 3 and 5? Like, where is it on the chart of most and least Soul Caliburs?
That was a different paradigm for fighting games, though. I don't feel like that's comparable. I mean,
I feel like it's
predates
absolutely
Deadly
comparable.
Alliance,
I think it's directly relevant whether or not the game sold more or less than its direct prequels and sequels. That's kind of the argument we were having.
But remember what came in between, which is Soul Calibur 3, though, and that was also a console-exclusive game. And that didn't have any guest characters.
What?
So
Wait,
was Soul
Soul
Calibur
Calibur
still in
3
the
wasn't console exclusive, was it?
It was PS2, I think, only.
I
could
thought
be
it was
wrong.
on Xbox.
I don't.
I have it for the PlayStation, but I don't remember it being exclusive.
I knew there was a reason I had no memory of it.
You didn't have a PS2, Shed?
I did, but I was probably too busy playing Silent Hill 2, and also I kind of dropped off of Soul Calibur after the first one.
Yeah, it was a PlayStation 2, and then later got adapted to arcade, where they fixed all the bugs. So it was.
Cool beans.
Well, still, I still feel like Soul Calibur 4 was distinctly less popular and well-known and played than 2. And I would say the same for 5 and 6. Like, I think Soul Calibur 2 was probably the peak of, like, Soul Calibur having a place in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, I think a lot of that had to do with the era, too, though. The era had a lot to do with it. Well, I mean, regardless, like, even if Yoda's not the best example...
Yeah, I'm not saying, like,
it still would finalize a success. If we're going by the measure of the time, I would say Yoda was still a success, but... Doesn't matter. I don't want any of these fucking... I know it's not the argument, but I don't fucking... It's so much energy to argue about guest characters. It's one of those things where the only rule to me is what does the money promote? And I think... I don't know if... I think Pennywise might sell better than Doom Guy. It depends how they time it, of course, but if you release an It 2 trailer and then Mortal Kombat comes out the next week, I feel like Pennywise would do better than Doom Guy.
Well, that really depends on when the next It and its trailer and all that are coming
out this October.
Okay, so it's gonna be a while.
That's why DLC lines up with it. But I mean, it's a moot point. We disagree. Let's move on.
By October, that's like the first of Pack 2.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, I am really looking forward to that movie a fuck ton. By the way, it's a great book.
Counting out the 6. He'd be the last one to be released.
Okay, October might be the final guy of Pack 1.
And we had to wait a while for Combat Pack 2 last time. I don't think it was instantaneous that they chained each other.
It was a while even after the silhouettes. Like, we got the silhouettes and then we had to wait another while after that.
Regardless, none of us want guest characters, so it doesn't even matter. We're just arguing for the sake of the question. I do not give a shit if Pennywise is in this game. I can't reiterate that enough, but we just disagree on principle of what makes a guest character interest, I guess, to a wider audience. But we can move on. We've all stated our opinions in long form, so Aramon can stop having a heart attack in the chat. He's like our mother. Guys, please stop.
Thomas Nagel once wrote an essay about, it was called "What Is It Like to Be a Bat?" The casual audience is that bat, and we are the humans. And though we may think about what that bat experiences life as, we will never have echolocation, and we will never be able to understand the intrinsic nature of being a bat because we're just not that bat. I've been drinking.
That's deep, man.
Like a baseball bat with echolocation, or is it just like a...
Yeah, baseball bats are known for their echolocation. That's
true. I wanted to go have that.
I do want to... Right. So one last question I want to get to before we close this out is from Jonas. And he says, if you guys could change, alter, or modify 1 or 2 things about gameplay mechanics we've seen from the game as of yet, which would they be and why? And Temp, since you have been gone for most of this, I want you to lead on this one because you probably have the most thoughts ready to go.
If you guys could change, alter, one of them gameplay mechanics we've seen from the game as yet, which would they be and why? Damn, that's a lot. Let me gather my thoughts here for one moment.
I have a quick one. Can I go?
Yeah, absolutely. Go first.
Okay, the number 1 thing I'd change is dash distance.
Okay.
That's it.
I think for me, I would just
make it actually do something.
I would probably increase the combo ceiling a little bit. Maybe not make combos longer, but I don't know. I guess give combos a little more of a unique quality. Jade right now has very limited combo construction, at least based off what we've seen.
Well, it seems she's supposed to. Like, Sonya has some pretty long combos, I feel like.
I mean, we were told Deadshot wasn't going to have very good up-close options, and he had not only one of the best mix-ups in the game, but one of the best staggers in the game. So I'm very careful about taking their words and applying them to the actual game when it comes out in April. I just hope that combo construction is more interesting. That might be the one thing I'd change right now. And that's really about it. I want to see how effective walking is, because I don't think zoning is going to be very strong in this game. I know everyone's scared because of the walk speed and the poor dashes that zoning is going to be kind of broke, but the thing is, it's not Yeah,
I feel like the last two they showed, Cabal and Jade, both have pretty fast walk speed.
they do.
Like,
And
I
they
think
have
it's
good
just
zoning,
that
too.
everybody in the demo was the slow characters.
Yeah, and it seems like even the slow characters have even decent zoning options in many ways. I just feel like it's not to your benefit. You're not going to tear someone down with zoning in this game, because when you zone them, you're letting them gain meter. That was the problem in Injustice. When you're getting out zoned, you don't really have a way to build bar, but it's like, okay, if I try to kill this guy with fireballs, I'm just giving him resources. I think that's a very big factor in this game. So I would say when you get in, I don't need combos to do a lot of damage. I don't need them to be long, but I do want them to be interesting. So I hope there's some cool combo options. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe give me a restand if I do this combo, or maybe give me like corner carry if I do that combo. That's kind of the stuff I would change right now, but they're just not giving us any information on that stuff, and at least not terribly in depth. So we'll see. It's hard to... We still know so little, so it's hard for me to say I want to change this, which is why I'm not against bigger dash distance. I definitely don't want to decrease the cancel window. I don't know if I want dash blocks in this game yet. I need to see how the meta unravels. I think that's one thing Maximilian is pushing hard, is he really wants to make dash cancels a viable way of moving forward in footsies. I think that's premature. Maybe that could be true, but I don't think we've seen anything yet to give us worry about that sort of thing. So I would just say better combo construction. Or more, or just show me the combo construction. Show me what high-level combos look like in this game. That's kind of the number one thing I want to see more than anything right now.
Shit.
I mean, all I'm saying is either make dash useful or take it out.
I kind of think it goes without saying that the dashes are going to be a little bit more effective once we get the final product in our hands. There was a lot of stink about them.
I mean, I've seen some dashes in the recent Comic Cast that didn't look bad, so...
Yeah.
I think it's make them good among certain characters. Like Rose had like a broken backdash in Street Fighter 4, and Johnny Cage had a ridiculous forward dash in Mortal Kombat 9. So we'll see. I think once we see more characters, we'll have a better opinion. But I don't know. I'm definitely not worried about zoning.
The ones, it felt to me like when we were playing the demo, and again, different characters are going to have different speeds and distances, but the ones that were available in the demo, dash seemed to be completely and utterly pointless. And at that point, it's just like, just remove it so we can have forward, and back special move inputs again.
I mean, if you think about it, none of the old Street Fighter 2s or Alpha games had a dash.
All right. So
Ken kind of had a forward flop.
Go on.
Actually, also no. Charlie had a dash in Alpha 3.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, he did.
Chad, what do you got?
That's kind of weird to make it character specific.
Sorry, what have I got?
What's your choice?
Typically red wine, alcoholism. That's what I got. But no, I really am with Razor on the dash mechanic. And I suppose there is the argument that we've all had that perhaps we should have, maybe gone back to the powered up form of a special move being the same command with just the block button. That some of us find different inputs with completely different buttons for a powered up version of a move or a pro move or whatever the hell they're calling them.
Amplify, yeah.
Amplified?
Yeah.
I'm still not okay with that.
Yeah, I'm still worried about that too. I didn't make it my number one thing because I feel like they might change it on their own anyway still, but as it stands now, it feels like an artificial way to raise difficulty, or like, what's the term I'm looking for?
Just add more complexity.
No, that's...
Yeah, there's a fancy way of saying, like, make pressing buttons harder that the FGC uses.
Yeah, I would say it does a slight raise in the execution barrier, but...
Execution barrier. It feels like an artificial way of raising it.
Did we ever come to an understanding as to why the stance switch button actually exists?
Other than
it's because Paulo fucking loves it.
It's an animation thing. So
okay.
My two, since he said one or two, the Amplify one's a good one, but I'm still. It's one of those things where I'd have to play the game for a while to know how I truly feel about it. It could be not as bad as we're making it, so I'll leave that off, especially because you chose it and I don't want to repeat. The two that come to mind for me, number one is a superficial thing. I want friendships or some equivalent of friendships, so I know that's a superficial gameplay related thing, but it would be nice. So give me some sort of friendship related ability. And then the second thing is custom variations. Make them customizable. Let us actually actually customize it in tournament play, and we are good. And that's it. Those are the two. Like I said, the dash thing. I feel like I'm with Temp in that I don't think it's going to be a huge issue just based on what I've seen lately. It seems like their dashes are a little bit better. Walk speeds are a little bit faster for most of the characters, and a lot of characters just have so many options that there's going to be something to deal with that kind of shenanigan. And then the amplify stuff, like I said, jury's out for me on that one. So give us the friendship type of thing, whether it's the mercy mechanic or whatever. Give us something like that. And then the other one is the bigger one, obviously. The one that matters more is the custom variations.
What if I told you that Sub-Zero's turnaround button in Mythologies is the distant ancestor of the stance twitch button?
That sounds about right, yeah.
My god, it survived. Somehow.
20 years of going, this is the worst thing in the game.
So it's like, Mythologies was like the Squirtle, and like MK9 Stance Switch is like the War Turtle?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty well.
Huh.
It lives. Kinda.
I had to Google War Turtle,
by the way. What's the Blastoise form, then?
Pirouette!
I always said, I wish they just let me take my mask off in match if I'm a ninja. Just let me do an input that lets me take my mask off.
I wish, you know what? I wish they would do is make the stance switch a taunt button, and then you end the taunt facing the other way. So it still does what it does, but people have a reason to press it.
That'd be cool. I'd be down with the taunt button for sure. Last couple here, just so we can cover a little bit more. We have Shred, who says, hey, how do you feel about the meter bars, more or less normal, or do you like the defensive and offensive meters? And I see they recharge faster, so does it make up for it? Thoughts? Temp, you want to lead with this one as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's two ways to approach the question. Let's forget about the time-based regeneration. Let's put that as just on the back burner for a second. I love the fact... Well, to me, the coolest thing I've seen so far is the use of the defensive bar. Because while in MKX, if you want to do a cancel, you did your cancel, you did the dash to cancel the move, and then you went into your special. Well, they tie that to defensive bar, so I still get the cancel, and I do take a risk. I remove some of my potential options on if I get knocked down, but I get to keep my 2 bars of offensive, of my EX bars, basically. So that just makes offense so much more rewarding to me. I thought I was going to use an offensive bar if I wanted to do a Nomad dash cancel, or I was going to do a run cancel with Jade. The fact that I get to keep my offensive options, and I get to spend a bar that I may not have even needed anyway, and if I did need it, well, at least I have one more. Or if I get to dash cancel twice, that's even sicker. But otherwise, I still have a wake up, even if I don't have a combo breaker. Combo breaker in quotation. I think that separation is awesome. I like the fact they gave me multiple types of resources. Now, as for the regeneration thing, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I like the idea that it discourages lame play. It's like, okay, if you want to be Baraka and just throw projectiles all day, well, your opponent's you're gonna give them that meter, you're gonna give it back to them, and you're gonna put yourself in the corner. So I think we're not going to. It's such a way to kill the Injustice 2 meta, in my opinion. And to tell you the truth, it's really going to kind of benefit everyone. One of my biggest problems with stamina is it didn't benefit the cast equally. Some characters benefited from stamina, others got fucked up by it. I think Quan Chi way over benefited from the stamina system because he didn't really have to run, but he always had the option. And if he didn't run, he always had Breaker, and he could outzone a lot of the characters, and he had fucking mix-ups at the asshole. So the fact that they have a system that benefits everyone equally, it just lets everyone play the game. It doesn't affect your movement decisions as much. You can just play the way you want to play. Meter might be there, meter may not be. It just changes how conservative or offensive you are. It doesn't affect your risk management. I think that is really healthy for a competitive. So I like it. It's not perfect. There are things I don't like about it. I think it de-incentivizes pressure, Which one of the reasons why I like pressure is because even if I only get chip damage, I get that meter reward. That was really cool in MK9. That's gone. At least, or at the very least, it gives me as much meter as it gives you meter. That's maybe the one thing I don't like about it. But otherwise, at the very least, I love the divisions, and I love that it doesn't fuck up with your risk management. I think that's really cool. So that's mine.
I just like it. It goes along with what I wanted from Mortal Kombat 11, and that is just a game that feels new. I mean, we have so many gameplay changes and visual changes and everything across the board. It just feels so fresh in this game that I'm happy to have something other than the 3 bars and then the X-ray at the end of it. It's nice to finally mix that up a bit with 2 offensive, 2 defensive for all the reasons Temp mentioned, and then have a super that's completely independent of those bars. I think it's just nice to have something different. I agree with you in the sense that I like that your movement options and your escape options and even your wake up options, those are more tied to your defensive. And then I like that you still get your offensive for your combo extenders and juggles and launchers, etc. So I like that those are separated now. So you're more encouraged to use your meter for more than just one purpose. You're not just saving them to extend your meter or for a combo breaker. Now you get a little bit for each, and it's just going to encourage more diverse play and using more of the options that are out in front of you, especially, and same with the super, the fatal blow, for that exact reason. You're more encouraged to use everything in the game rather than finding the best use for it and then only using it for that purpose. So I like it for that reason.
I'm in agreement there. By tying the crushing blows or crushing fatal, whatever the hell they call them now, but by tying the supers to the health and giving us room to play with our offensive meter and our defensive meter, it feels like we have more options. I would, though, say that this is probably about the max that we want to have extra meters in, because at some point then you become a Guilty Gear, and then you have to, and then you start scaring people off with how many options you've got.
Yeah.
So
anime fighters and the number of bars on the screen.
This is nice. We're okay here. Let's not make it any more complicated than it already is. This is a nice balance. We're doing well. I can go full ham with my super if I'm at low health if I feel like it, and I can still putz around and maybe fire off a couple of EX moves. I'm happy.
Yeah. So then, last question here. I guess second to last. Card to the Low asks, since Cassie and Jackie are likely in MK11, what are you expecting from them story-wise? I don't really have much to say. I do want to say one thing. I do want to say one thing real quick. I don't have much aspirations for Cassie, but for Jackie, this is a second shot for her. For all of the shit that we talk about her, or just disappointment with her design being bland, this is a new lease on life. This is a second chance for her to really shine. So if they really want, all I hope for her is make her design more interesting and make her more interesting in story. If you do that, then you can save this character. That's what I want from her. Robo Legs.
For what I'm expecting from Jackie, it's this. Out of all the 4 combat kids, and we've said this before, she is the one who by far received the most amount of flack for not being interesting enough, not having enough to her apart from being daddy's girl and a love interest. And they have to know that the reception for her was not entirely positive. And they brought her back anyway. And that, to me, is a major sign of, we know we didn't do this character justice in the first place. Let's try again and make her really, really stand out and make her something special. And if they don't live up to that, I'll be rather disappointed, because I feel like this is kind of, maybe not, I don't know about last chance, but this is a pretty big risk they're taking, so I feel like something good is probably coming for her. So I can't tell you what I expect her to do, but I can say I expect a lot from Jackie this time through, assuming she is in. And from Cassie, I think Cassie will primarily serve as a major form of plot device.
Yeah, I think fighting game characters don't really get 3 strikes before they're out with the fans. They only get 2 max.
This is their all or nothing moment for Jackie, so I'm expecting a lot.
I mean, if you strike out twice, yeah, at that point, it's just you're gonna be labeled a bad design outright, and it's just not worth bringing you back when there's other characters that still have great potential that haven't even been brought back for a second time that we're still pulling for like a Fujin, Frost, etc. So, on that note, yeah, if she gets 2 tries in a row and she can't deliver, I mean, it's not that she doesn't have any fans. She does have some fans and some people that like what they got with her, but I don't think she captured the majority of the audience on all the polls that I've seen of favorite characters and whatnot. She generally rates pretty low. So, this is a chance to really rectify that and revitalize this character and make her something truly unique and special, not just a soldier girl. She can be something completely different. They can really take a whole left turn with this character if they want to and give her something that really makes her shine. And yeah, this is, in my opinion, this is a now or never. If they bring her back a third time after she's failed this time, I really am just going to be, ugh. Like, I don't hate her being on this roster
And it's like,
by any means. It's just, it's put up or shut up. Like, this is it.
And it's not just a story question either. It's that each of the kids, with the exception of her, kind of really stood out and had an interesting play style, and had a lot of people who were like kind of centered around that. People,
yeah, each one had their own thing at the very least. Like
Kunjin was huge online with a wide variety of floating jumps and pressure tactics, and Takeda, you could choose to play him like Omega Red if you wanted to, or you could choose to putz around with like knives. And Cassie was this wonderful mix of Sonya and Johnny who shot at you. And, you know, they all kind of oozed.
And Johnny.
Well, yeah, okay, fair. But the point is, they all kind of like really oozed personality. And like, what did Cassie really bring to the table? What did Jackie really bring to the table? More missiles. More robot punching.
Her special moves were largely constructed of like automatic strings, which was a thing they did a lot in Armageddon, where like Taven has a move that's an automatic punch string. Like, that's kind of the least creative form of special move you can create. Is like just a move where the character dashes forward and does 3 to 5 hits for free as a special move. And Jackie, almost her entire moveset was that. And that's a bad sign, man.
She just needs a little more. Just a bit.
She needs some pizzazz in her design, in her visual design. The camo pants and tank top just, I mean, like I said, we've got Special Forces characters. Give us something more, make her unique. And Cassie's in the same boat to a degree as well. She needs to be a little bit more unique, and she can't just get by being the child of Johnny and Sonya. She needs to develop and evolve, and if she can't do that, then that's a problem. So
at least Cassie has this sort of very comic booky bodysuit outfit with like this like plastic armor on it and stuff like that. She looks like the more cartoony side of a G.I. Joe character as opposed to the more military side of a G.I. Joe character, you know?
She really does look like
and I think that's the difference. That's why Cassie works more than Jackie does, is because Jackie is dressed like an actual real-world soldier, and it's just not interesting to look at.
I think that we actually missed Brust's question about Shinnok.
That was the last one I was going to do. So, leading off on that, there are rumors as well, along with other characters. Shinnok, his name has been tossed around at potentially being in this game as playable, as unlikely as that seems, and especially coming off of MKX, what all of us were thinking was unlikely. Hell, on our fantasy draft, he was pointed a 5 character just because who would have thought Shinnok would come back immediately after the last game where he was the boss. So, thoughts on him being playable? Would you like that? Without going into spoilers, further into the leaks, let's just talk about him being playable.
I wouldn't mind him for DLC, but I absolutely do not expect the leaks that say he's main roster to be true, and I absolutely would not... Okay, so I wouldn't hate it if he were main roster, but I do think that's a waste of a slot. I think that as a boss character, you exist to fulfill a story purpose, and once that purpose is fulfilled, which is the heroes defeating you, you can't... The alternative is Joker syndrome, where you get sick of seeing a guy, and of a guy not, like... bad guys are a special kind of thing narratively in that the audience wants to see them be defeated. That's the purpose of the story. Especially, like, he's ahead in a background right now. That's good enough. I don't need to be playing the guy who's ahead.
Kronika seems to have plans for that head.
Yeah, well, Kronika can have plans for that head without the head being more than an NPC.
What I'll say is this. I was extremely happy with how Shinnok was portrayed in MKX. Like, it felt like he was really finally getting his due after a long, long time, with a slight look upwards in Armageddon. So, to actually bring Shinnok back and have him act all regal and snappy and have, like, one of the best X-rays in the game where he backhands you, have more of a moveset focused around, like, skeletal bullshit, it was rewarding, because I always wanted Shinnok to come back with a vengeance, and in MKX, he definitely did. Sure, he got punked because of plot reasons, but I can look past that and say he was a fun character to see zip around on the screen.
I 50% agree with that.
Hang on. The caveat is this. I want Shang first. You give me a game where Shang and Shinnok can have a slap fight, and I am over the moon. Because the thing that still kind of does hold Shinnok back is that he does and always has brought a little bit off Shang's boat. He's either morphed into other people, or he's used, or like an X, he used the upwards skulls that weren't skulls but amulet blasts. You put Shinnok and Shang in a game together, make them as different as possible, I'd love to have the opportunity for those two to fight each other. So I say sure. DLC candidate, why not? I could think of better people, but I wouldn't want him to be main roster. I hope he's
I don't know. I feel like, look, I agree that, like, Shinnok needed to shine because his two appearances in the old timeline games, MK4 and Armageddon, I think Armageddon did okay with him and made him seem way cooler than MK4 did, where he was basically the worst character in the game other than Jarek. So I think, like, MKX fixed his image even further, and now, like, he does seem like a serious villain in the MK universe and a cool character. Like, his fan base has grown exponentially compared to what it was before X, and that's a great thing, because I am a Shinnok fan. But how would you feel if Shao Kahn had been main roster in MKX?
Not good. And that
exactly.
is a problem.
You can't bring the boss of the last game back in the very next game in this era. Like,
no, totally agreed.
It worked in MK2 and 3 to both have Shao Kahn because that was very early in the lifespan of the franchise, and they were building Shao Kahn up. But he's an established character now. Having him twice in a row, like having him die at the end of a game and then come back right away in the very next game, it takes all the wind out of the sails of his defeat.
We may have gone over this. Shang going from the boss in MK1 to being playable in MK2?
That was, it's not the same because
Shang was always Shang was always a henchman.
Yeah,
and assuming that, like, they retroactively made Shinnok a henchman to Kronika, which would kind of suck, it would really kind of diminish him, I think.
Yeah, it really feels like that's sort of what people are expecting. They're now picturing Shinnok as a henchman or a lower tier to Kronika. Like,
which, after 2 decades of having him be basically portrayed as, like, the successor to Lucifer and the god of death, and someone with an utterly nihilistic worldview who wants to, reduce everything to nothingness, that's kind of shitting on him.
I don't think anybody wants or would be pleased to see with the end result of a game where Shinnok is answering somebody else's orders. That's just going to ruin the character.
I don't know. It's kind of funny to me.
I'll just throw in that out of all the characters in MKX, from a purely gameplay perspective, I think Shinnok is the one in most need of redemption. They turned to that character, which had some good ideas. I love Imposter. Imposter was incredibly interesting to me. But all that got drowned out by a plus frame EX setup and the dumbest 50-50 in the game. If not the dumbest, it's top 4. So, and they put a vortex in there too, so they made the character incredibly boring. And his defining gameplay was sparks, which was kind of just a derivative from Shang Tsung's skulls, you know? It looked better, in my opinion. It looked pretty because of the lighting effects, but yeah,
it's very colorful, but I don't.
I love color. I love shiny
whole
shit.
match.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
Yes, no bone arms ever again, please.
Yeah.
please.
Or at least give him the Jackie or some shit like that. Don't put him on shit.
I just think it's badass because if we didn't get Shinnok again, I mean, if we didn't get him in this game, I don't know. A lot of us didn't. A lot of us treated MKX like this is Shinnok's one and done. Like this is his. This is going to be the big thing for him. And even if he comes back in this one, regardless if he was the boss in the last one and playable in this one, you put that aside. I appreciate the fact that this character, like Temp was alluding to, gets another shot, is now actually going to be in another game that's not an all-in game, and he gets more development. To me, I think that's kind of cool. I did not expect this character to make it if he does, and I think that adds to, like, when you look at the roster as a whole on who is playable in this game, I think he's a name that, although he's returning from X, it's not a character that we're sick of. He's still a character that we feel like we just got after so long, after people wanted this character for so long because they really like this character and they wanted him to have a chance to shine. Well, now it's like, is he getting too much of a chance to shine? Because I feel like this time is if you felt like he just missed the mark in X, or like, you know, he just wasn't quite there, this is his chance once again at redemption, and you get another go with Shinnok in a game that could potentially do him a lot better with gear and a completely different gameplay style. This might be more to Shinnok's liking. Plus, then you can have cool thematic battles or just battles that you never got before. Him against Shang, because I don't count Armageddon. So stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's neat.
I just think, like, look, you can have, like, Shang Tsung kept coming back. And Shao Kahn was the boss twice in a row, because MK1, 2, and 3 are actually a single story. It's a three-parter. It's like Darth Vader and the Emperor. But MKX was a standalone story, unless we're supposed to be taking X and 11 as part 1 and 2 of the same game, which is a weird way to look at it. It's like, how are you going to feel about Thanos if he comes back in Avengers 5?
I don't... I mean, I kind of see what you're saying, but I don't know, man. The fact that we have so many potential playable, like, bosses in this game is kind of intriguing. It feels like the stakes are really damn high in this game. If you have playable Shang, Shinnok, Shao Kahn, and I guess that's the three. I think I covered them, but that's just, to me, it's just insane. I don't know.
Like, I guess it depends on what he's doing, right? For as far as a storyline perspective goes, it's a good question. Like, if they brought Thanos back in, like, Avengers 5, but, you know, after having his huge, gigantic moment in, like, the Infinity Gauntlet storyline in the comics, he comes back for Infinity War because there's a bigger threat, but he's not subservient to that threat. He's trying to fight against it. So while I wouldn't want, like, everyone to, like, suddenly band together to form a super happy squad with Shinnok as, like, its unicorn riding rainbow horse leader, I mean, to have him be a factor but not an underdog, I wouldn't mind that.
I just look
not a henchman. That's all.
So the whole thing about, like, chopping his head off was, you know, and there are fates worse than death. Is that
it's meant to be
like,
permanent.
how does it matter if he gets his head reattached a week later?
I mean,
how
I
is
used
that
to feel
punishing him? Like, what stakes then?
I used to feel that way about death in Mortal Kombat in general, but I don't feel that way now.
Well, at least, like, it took Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Jax were zombies for 2 years before Raiden fixed them.
I mean...
And all the other Revenants are Revenants for 20 years. And, like, it's literally gonna be, like, 2 days later, Shinnok got his head put back on his body.
We don't know
That's
that. We
ridiculous.
don't know.
We're assuming that is actually happening instantaneous to the Chronic scene because she stops time right then and there to reverse things.
No, we know that scene takes place before Raiden gave the head to Liu and Kitana.
But at the same...
So Liu and Kitana still get the head, and they attach it to a wall, and we don't know how much time passes that's true between X and 11's main story.
That's all I'm
but
saying.
It's going to be like a short amount of time.
Look at it this way. So let's talk about Infinity War. Obviously, this is spoilers, but I mean, if you haven't seen Infinity War by now, then what are you doing?
Wrong with you?
Okay, so Infinity War, right? So fair spoiler warning. Infinity War going to Endgame. If at the end of Endgame, like most of us expect, I don't know this, I don't know any spoilers or anything like that, but what most of us expect is a lot of those characters that just dissipated will be brought back. Does that lessen the story at the end of the day?
No, it's because Endgame and Infinity War are two parts of the same story. Those guys were dissipated because we know they're coming back, because the story is going to be about how they're brought back. That's the point.
You mean to tell me that this whole...
But Thanos still has to be defeated at the end of that. He's the bad guy. The rules for a bad guy are different. A main bad guy are different than they are for the rest of the cast of story. The main antagonist exists to be defeated. If you think about it in wrestling booking terms, like if, in the mid-2000s, Triple H would win at every pay-per-view while he was the heel. And
I don't even want to
people got sick of watching because the heel exists to build up to the pay-per-view. You want to see that guy beaten, you're spending your money on the pay-per-view because you're waiting to see him beaten. And it's being advertised as maybe this is when he'll finally get beaten. Once that guy's beaten, you move on to a different fucking story arc. He's done.
Okay, but...
What if all of this was a trick by Mysterio and Spider-Man is the real sequel?
I'm just saying X and MK9, X, and MK11 are clearly a lot closer tied together than anything. I mean, Infinity War to Endgame to me reads a lot like X to 11. I
can't see them that way anymore because they stuffed 3 games into one with 9. Making 2-parters no longer flies narratively for me.
I mean, just the way it's set up, though. Like, the prologue is literally taking place right at the end of X. They're clearly continuing that.
I can't wait 4 years for a new game and be told the new game is actually MKX Part 2. I can't. Psychologically, I'm not okay with that.
That's what we're getting.
I mean, it is what we're getting. If it's what we're getting. These are assumptions. Like I said, I don't believe Shinnok is main roster. I don't think those leaks are true.
We're just speculating. Based on that as if it is.
If they are true, then I am already not happy with the story of this game.
I mean, that was only a matter of time, let's be honest. They weren't good.
Guys,
They weren't good. That's fine. We're wrapping this up.
I'm not unpleasable. It's just that these guys suck.
Well, I mean, that's your opinion, man.
See what you get when you fight a stranger.
If I'm unpleasable, then why do I like Deadly Alliance and Deception so much?
I didn't say you were unpleasable. I just said the likelihood of them...
I know, but there are people in our audience who will say that, so I'm preemptively pointing out all the things I already like.
But once again, it's not that you're unpleasable or totally pleasable. I just think you want something very specific to happen, and if it's not that, you're going to be upset.
What I want is common sense writing. I want things to follow the structure that you learn in fucking school because that's what works. Like, stop trying to subvert expectations or to be, like... Everybody who writes stuff anymore is trying to deconstruct their genre, and it's just... Or like, do what they don't expect. But everything's been done, and everyone's seen everything, so everybody's so jaded... And they write from that, and there's no, like, all of a sudden, all the old archetypes and patterns and tropes are considered bad and cliche and need to be thrown away.
I don't even paint them in a picture like that. I don't think they sit in a writing room, a brainstorming room, and say, ooh, let's do what they don't expect. I think they clearly just see...
I absolutely do.
You paint them as... it's...
How can you say that after the Shinnok, or the Sindel Massacre?
I'm just saying...
How is that not written?
It's called assuming positive intent. They're not... I don't paint them as these guys that just are always trying to pull a fast one or shit on anybody. I paint them as dudes that are just sitting in a room that are like, hey, you know what would be cool? And then they're all like, oh, yeah, that would be cool. Oh, yeah, sure, let's do that. That's awesome. That's cool.
Okay,
that sounds badass.
Raiden is not based on what would be cool. It's based on like the flow of
this
logic.
is Mortal Kombat. It's always been, hey, you know what would be cool?
That's not an excuse.
We are coming dangerously close to a half-hour dissertation on the nature of fiction in a postmodern society, and I've really got to take up this.
You can go anytime you want. You're not.
All right. Well, I'm a fucking college-educated writer. This is my bread and butter. This is what I'm going to complain about. I don't think so. No, wait, I know they're not. I know that the people who are hired to write for NRS aren't actually hired to write. Brian Chard was the sound director. And he wrote all the dialogue in X.
I'm just saying, you definitely have a way of thinking the lowest of them at all possible corners and always assuming the worst in them.
Earned that reputation. How am I not basing what I'm saying on past events?
I don't know, man. I just think, you need to settle it with them. I think you need to work something out at some point.
Look, at this point, there's no doubt that we think about this stuff much, much more seriously than they do.
More than anybody, I would assume.
Maybe there was a good reason. Maybe there was a reason that they tried to hire a writing staff is because they knew they had a sound guy writing for them, and they knew that guy couldn't necessarily write a script front to back.
Well, you know what? It's funny because Brian Chard wrote better dialogue than Sean Kittleson does.
Maybe he just missed his calling. Press F to pay respects.
Well, anyways. This is why you just enjoy the gameplay. But on that note... Well,
if I liked fighting games, maybe I would enjoy the game. Let me know when they make another Shaolin Monks.
Anyways, on that note... yeah, so I think we all got our opinions. Temp just happy to see him get a redemption, so... Yep.
I like Temp. Who else likes Temp?
I like Temp.
I'm in agreement with him, but regardless, we all got our opinions in there, and let's wrap it up so Chad can go pee. And thanks everybody for tuning in for episode 105. We will see you guys next week after the next Combat Cast. Hopefully we'll have another character reveal to break down of another fan favorite, hopefully, or at least get a trailer or something before then to talk about and discuss and have a lot of fun things and positivity to say. So on that note, thanks everybody for tuning in. See you guys later.
Thanks for putting up with us.
Later, nerds.
Night.